What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, the Bad Diggity Dizzle. I am proud to have David Solo from GMENHQ on the channel tonight. He also has a YouTube channel called Giants Alliance that he started about a month ago. So I want all you guys to do me a favor. If you have not subscribed to this young man on my, I guess it's my left, his channel link is in the description. So please go in there, sub him up, and David, take it away, man. Let them know your name. Let them know about your column at GMENHQ. Let them know about your YouTube channel, whatever you want to talk about, and then we'll start talking about some Giants and the article that you wrote about Daniel Jones.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I'm a big fan of the stream. Like you and the Entertainer, I watch you guys, especially recently, almost every night. So it's pretty cool to be on here. And yeah, I write for GMENHQ.com. There's a lot of good writers on there, and I recently wrote an article about Daniel Jones and how he's going to be, in my opinion, sort of elite this year in terms of fantasy. And PFF actually rated him as the 12th with their projections as the 12th best quarterback in the fantasy football realm. So I talked about how I think he's going to do even better than that. And yeah, I've been starting this YouTube channel recently. So I put up a lot of videos, like at least once a day for the last week. And yeah, I'm excited to be on here. This is pretty cool. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on the channel. Let's say hello to some of the people in the chat. Gangrene David, he's a Jets fan. I always like to greet him with this. Sam Darnold stinks. Lestat Walton, what's going on? Bradley, how you doing? Dave McKnight, Danny Alabrandy, my boy, diehard Giants fan, Poppy Chulo, Chad, Alex Sports, the One 76. My man Afghanistan's in the house. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining the stream. AV Sports, Nash Schieber, Luke's Productions, Ballard Sports Media. What is going on? Royal Prophet, Mr. Mini Guy. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. I am on I'm on StreamYard, so these things happen to chunk up for some reason. The chat freezes sometimes. Dave McKnight, what's going on? KP, Christopher Taylor, D. Coop, what's going on? Jared Williams, how you guys doing? Thank you for joining the stream. Loud Superset, what's going on? Again, thank you guys for being here tonight. Do appreciate it very much. So, David, let's talk about the article that you wrote about Daniel Jones. And I learned a lot reading about this article. There's definitely some things that I did not know about Daniel Jones. And the one really interesting thing that I saw was that he was the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, in the entire NFL, guys, and passes over 20 yards. But his completion percentage is one of the worst. Now, that tells you all you need to know about the injuries and the receivers there. But how did you find that? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was on one of those advanced stats websites, like Next Gen Stats. They do a really good job. They even track like how fast the players run in miles per hour and stuff like that. And I was looking up Daniel Jones stats, and yeah, he is actually the most accurate deep ball passer with passes that have over 20, air yards. And the completion percentage actually was one of the lowest at the same time. And it's funny because at Duke, a lot of his, when he struggled, a lot of times it was because he had very poor wide receivers. He didn't have any really NFL caliber players with him.
Right.
And the same thing kind of happened with the Giants. Like, not that they weren't NFL caliber, but he didn't play that many games with a full plethora of weapons. Like, a lot of times he was playing with backups like Cody Latimer or just a lot of those backup receivers. And yeah, I think this upcoming season, if the guys can stay healthy, like if Evan Ingram plays more than 8 games, if Saquon's himself, even though Saquon, I think he only missed 3 games last year, but if he's able to stay healthy, and when he did come back from his injury, the high ankle sprain, he wasn't really himself. So if Saquon can stay healthy, if Sterling Shepard can stay healthy, Golden Tate was out the first 4 games because of a suspension. If he can play a full season, I think he can play much better than last year. And last year, I thought he had a really good rookie season. So in terms of fantasy, I think he can, be one of the maybe top 8. That's where I'd probably rank him. And then for the Giants, I think for us to have a chance of even being like 500, I think he's going to have to make a leap. He's going to have to, carry the team, him and Saquon. So I'm still not too confident with the defense. We don't really have much of a pass rush, although we should be better than last year. So I think for us to be decent, I think the pass rush, Daniel Jones is going to have to carry us.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. OGR Sports, I'll be on his channel on Friday night for the first ever episode of The Courtroom So again, if you guys aren't subbed up to OGR Sports, please sub up, my man. Thanks for the super chat. Brilly, he says, "What's good, you lunatic? You're up 24 hours, I swear." Yes, I was up at 4:50 this morning, and I'll probably be streaming until 12:30 this next morning because I am a lunatic. We all know that. But thank you, OGR. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to working with you on Friday for sure. Now, the funny thing is about Daniel Jones. When he was drafted, I reacted like 95% of the fan base, maybe a little bit more angrily. I don't know if you've ever seen my reaction video. It went viral.
I reacted the same way. Honestly, I reacted the same way. Yeah. I wanted Josh Allen so bad because I wasn't expecting Josh Allen to fall to us at that point in the draft. I was so surprised when Oakland ended up taking Ferrell, who is a player that I actually liked a lot, and I'm a Clemson fan, but he did not deserve to go in the top 5. When Josh Allen fell to us, I was like, there's no way we're passing him up. And, you figure you go with Eli one more year and you figure out the quarterback situation later. But now that I've seen him play, he's actually young. Daniel Jones is actually younger than Joe Burrow. Like, his birthday was today. He was born in 1997. So it's crazy. Like, Burrow was a little bit older for, a college quarterback.
Yeah,
but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Daniel Jones still has room to grow. He's young, and I think he's going to have a much better year with a full season, a full off season where he's the starter. So I think that's going to help a lot.
What makes me laugh is so many people now. Oh, I knew Daniel Jones was going to be great. You guys aren't Giants fans. I knew he was going to be great. Well, this is the thing I'll say about Daniel Jones. I was mad. I went back and I did some film study on him. And I realized that in college, he was one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country, over 20 yards as far as accuracy goes. But like you mentioned, had no NFL players. I think 2 other players on the entire team made the NFL combine, and none of them were drafted. Whereas Dwayne Haskins played with 7 NFL players. The J.K. Dobbins went in this year, but he played with 7 NFL players on that team. And I made a video saying that Daniel Jones would be better than Dwayne Haskins, and I got killed. This is before Daniel Jones even threw a pass, even a preseason pass. I got killed by people. And I tried to explain to them that, listen, if you put Dwayne Haskins on Duke, he's not in the NFL.
Yeah.
If you put Daniel Jones on Ohio State, people will be telling you he's the number 1 pick in the draft. Daniel Jones is also really good against the blitz. He's one of the best in the country against the blitz. He throws very accurately in tight windows. His accuracy is not a question. His ball handling obviously is a question. But one thing I make for, Gangrene David's a Jets fan, and I always like to tell him that Daniel Jones is better than Darnold. Now, Darnold's had maybe 1, maybe 2 4-touchdown games in his career. Maybe.
Yeah.
You wrote in your article, and it's true, Daniel Jones had 4 games out of 12. 4 games where he had 4 total touchdowns or more. Obviously, he had 5 against the Redskins when Saquon Barkley was completely healthy. One thing that I forgot about that you mentioned in the article is that on that touchdown, the game-winning touchdown against Tampa, that he ran, 19 miles an hour, which is the third fastest time by any quarterback behind Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. You don't think of him as a speedster, but the guy obviously has some wheels.
Yeah, he ran a 4.65 40 at his pro day, which beats a lot of the quarterbacks, most people assume are faster than him, like Aaron Rodgers, and Josh Allen actually ran a 4.75 40. So, yeah, Daniel Jones is fast. I like the fact that he doesn't run first. He's definitely not a run-first quarterback. And he ran for 2 touchdowns in that first ever start that he had against Tampa Bay, which I actually think was his best game of the season, that first game. But, after that, he didn't run for any more touchdowns. And I think that Jason Garrett, the way he used Dak Prescott, I think had like 20-something touchdowns in his career rushing. So I could see Daniel Jones using like the RPO sort of plays a little bit more and using his speed, but at the same time he's not as physical. I don't think he's as strong as Dak Prescott. I wouldn't want him to take that kind of pounding, running the ball too much, but he's definitely fast. Like, I was surprised when I saw that stat. He ran over 19 miles per hour, but if you watch him in college, there's a run against North Carolina where he like outruns some of the cornerbacks on like a long run. So he needs to kind of get like a little bit of steam ahead of him, and then his top end speed is actually kind of impressive. So I'm excited to see what he can do in this new offense. They're going to try to go vertical a little more in Jason Garrett's offense, so that I think that should help a lot with giving Daniel Jones more chances downfield because, like we said before, he's one of the most accurate with the 20+ yards downfield with the long passes.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Independent Outsider, thank you for the super chat, brother. Brilly, my good man. He says, can DJ handle different coverages and then zone? I'll let you answer that because you talked about the man-to-man coverage, how well he played against the man-to-man coverage in that article. So,
yeah, actually, ESPN and Dan Orlovsky's been on a bunch of shows recently talking about how well Daniel Jones, how accurate he is, but how well he plays against man-to-man defense. And at Duke, he didn't have, like we said before, the best receivers. And he had to throw into some really tight windows against man-to-man. And he was able to do that really well. So I think that's definitely a strength, is going against man-to-man defense. Zone probably is what he needs to work on a little more because he's still young. He only has 12 games starting experience where he hasn't seen all the defenses and all the things that teams can throw at him. And he did struggle in certain games last year, but when he was on, he was like really on. And like you said before, he had 4 games with at least 4 touchdowns, at least 300 yards and no interceptions. So that's pretty rare for a rookie. And he didn't really get that much Rookie of the Year buzz, which I thought was kind of surprising. I thought, I don't know if he was better than Kyler Murray. I didn't watch too much of Arizona last year, but I thought he deserved at least some consideration for, the games he started last year.
I think the fumbles hurt him more than anything because he threw more touchdowns than Kyler Murray in less games. And I think his interception percentage is actually lower than Kyler Murray. And I'm a Sooner fan, so I love Kyler Murray. I watched Kyler Murray play at Oklahoma. I was a big fan of Kyler. Kyler Murray's actually my dark horse for MVP this year. I really think that he, with the DeAndre Hopkins and a second year under Cliff Kingsbury, I think they're going to be really good. They do play in a tough division. But I really like Kyler Murray. There's no doubt about that. But I was surprised Josh Jacobs didn't get the Rookie of the Year. I thought Josh Jacobs deserved it. But, it's funny because Daniel Jones just doesn't get a lot of credit. And I don't know why. I think a lot of media guys are just mad that they missed. I missed too, but I'm happy I missed. I have no problem saying, hey, I was wrong about my reaction. I didn't know anything about Daniel Jones. I don't watch Duke football. I remember before the draft, Chris and I's reaction, like pictures, were on CBS Sports Instagram, which is why I got an Instagram channel. I'm like this. And guys like, oh, we don't know. Anybody that watched Daniel Jones play would know that he was really good. And I'm sitting there going, who the hell watches Duke football? The only team you watch in the ACC is Clemson. Nobody's watching Duke football. So, like I said, everybody's an expert after the fact. And it's easy when you don't put your face out there and actually put your live reaction and say, oh, yeah, well, I reacted totally different. I was really on board with that. Hakeem J, thank you for the super chat. Brilly, my man. He says, what would your ideal starting defense be? Ideal starting defense.
So for me, I talk about this in one of my articles for the secondary, since it doesn't seem likely that DeAndre Baker has like his starting spot still secured after what went on. And even if he gets to his legal trouble, there might be like team penalties or NFL stuff he has to worry about. I actually would like Julian Love to play cornerback, opposite of James Bradbury, because Bradbury is definitely going to start. But I liked Julian Love a lot coming out of college. Like at Notre Dame, he was actually one of the Jim Thorpe Award finalists that DeAndre Baker ended up winning that award. But I like Julian Love a lot. I think he's just a good football player. Like when he played last year at safety, I think he was actually better than Peppers at, who he replaced, because Peppers was out with the injury towards the end of the year. I don't think he's a better overall player than Peppers. Like Peppers is very athletic, but I thought Love actually played better. And, he just has good football instincts. He's a smart player. He doesn't have the top end speed, but DeAndre Baker doesn't have the top end speed either. Right. Like he ran like in the 4 or 5 range. So
same thing in McKinney. McKinney doesn't have top flight speed either.
Yeah, that's the concerning thing. Like I'm not exactly sure who's gonna, because I've been watching a lot of videos about Patrick Graham's defense from last year, and they played a lot of single high safety, where they would blitz a lot and they'd have like one safety back. So I don't know who's exactly going to end up playing that role the most. Peppers I think is more athletic than McKinney, but McKinney has more experience playing in those looks. But he did have that slower 40 time. So I don't know. It seems like he's actually faster than what he ran at the combine, but that could be one of his like downfalls is his speed.
Supposedly he had cramps at the combine, so I don't know how accurate his 40 time is at all. But I'm excited to see the young defense. I think our secondary is a lot better. I did think we stole Julian Love in the 4th round. He was just scouted as a 2nd round talent. So I'm with you. I think a lot of Giants fans would rather see him. We don't know what Sam Beal is going to be, if Sam Beal could ever stay healthy. And Ballantyne obviously had a rough rookie season. Now, of course, he had a lot of things he was going through. His best friend being shot, his best friend being killed. So hopefully he bounces back. Hopefully Beal stays healthy. And hopefully this young secondary becomes a force, which I think it definitely can be. Simon Z, thank you for the super chat, my man. Brilly, brother. He says, who will our second outside receiver be? One of the undrafted free agents. I'll start with that one. It's going to be Sterling Shepard. I can't see it being Austin Mack. I can't see it being Benjamin Victor. And I can't see it being Rice and John or Derek Dillon. I don't think any of those guys are going to be your number 2 receiver. I think it's Sterling Shepard. I think one of those guys makes it, and probably as a special teams guy, but I don't think any of those guys are going to be starting anytime soon. There's a reason they went undrafted. I love the talent that they got. I love Javon Leake from Maryland as well, but I think that there's a reason they're undrafted. So I can't see them, cracking the starting lineup anytime soon if everybody's healthy. Yeah,
the undrafted receiver that I'm rooting for the most that the Giants picked up is Derek Dillon, just because he has the speed element. And I feel like Austin Mack is sort of similar to Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate, where he's not like a burner, but he's a good route runner. He's tough. He's kind of strong. He's not the biggest receiver either. So he's kind of similar to the guys we have. I do think he's actually better than Derek Dillon, but I'm hoping Derek Dillon just like develops and has a great training camp, because he did run the 4.28 40-yard dash at the pro day. And, he could take the top off the defense, which would help Saquon. It could help, the other receivers get a little more room. So that would be nice. I like that receiver out of Canada who's like 6'8". Or
Rice and John.
Yeah. So guys like that just have so much upside because you can't teach the size and speed stuff.
You either have that or
I heard they might try to move him to tight end, because on his Twitter he has himself listed as tight end for the Giants. So maybe Rice and John could develop as a good tight end. But a lot of those guys I think are interesting. I agree with you. I think Sterling Shepard's going to end up starting at the outside, and then Golden Tate seems like he's best in the slot, and they might like switch back and forth.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Jersey Joey, thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate it, brother. Brilly, my man. He says, good evening, Diggity and Giants Alliance. Hey, talk about DJ's pocket presence and stepping up to avoid edge pressure, #/strip sack. Stay safe and well. Go Big Blue. I'll let you start with that, with his pocket presence.
Yeah, from everything I've heard, the fumbling issue is something that's very correctable. I mean, we saw it with Tiki Barber. I know it's a totally different position, but it's something you can work at. You can work on pocket presence. You can work on like ball security. And I heard Daniel Jones, he is taking it really seriously this offseason. And he's even had people that he's working out with and that he's practicing with in the offseason, like try to take the ball with him away from him as he's like walking through the facility, or he just wants people to be annoying and like constantly try to get the ball out of his hands. So I think it's something that he's going to be so cognizant of, and he seems like a hard worker. Like he takes his craft very seriously. I would worry more about like accuracy, like Baker Mayfield, who had a lot of like issues with accuracy last year. I'd worry more about that than like fumbling. I think fumbling is more correctable than like other issues a quarterback could have.
Yeah, so. I agree. I think that a part of me, the offensive line was terrible. That's another thing you mentioned in your article, was that Nate Solder gave up 59 pressures, which was the most in the NFL. So that's really bad, especially, you have a rookie quarterback and your blind side protector can't block anybody. So he doesn't help him. But I thought Daniel Jones has to learn how to do is throw the ball away. I think sometimes he holds on to it too long and he doesn't have that clock in his head, like I'm going to get hit, where Eli Manning would get that and he'd either go down and just take the sack, or, he'd just chuck the ball into the ground or throw it away to avoid the sack and the turnover. I think that's something Daniel Jones needs to work on. But I think because his accuracy is so good, I really don't know if we need to worry about that. I think the biggest difference, and I still think Baker Mayfield is going to be a very good quarterback in this league. Again, I'm a Sooner guy. I saw Baker Mayfield play there. I think Baker Mayfield in between the years is where his problem is. He's talented enough to play at this level. But like you mentioned, Daniel Jones is a very hardworking guy. And if you look at him when he fumbles, you could see he beats himself up. And he's talked about he talked about, this is my biggest problem. I got to protect the ball. So I think if, like you said, if he's cognizant of it, he's going to protect the ball a lot better. And I think that if if he learns how to hold on to the ball and step up in the pocket, I think he's going to be fine. I just think he's got to get rid of the ball a little earlier. And obviously the offensive line needs to protect him. It's certainly not helping matters when you're getting blindsided every time you drop back. So that doesn't help at all. I saw KP mention something about, am I going to have more people on the channel? He says, Baddog, you're going to start having more guests on since you never did before that much except for Tana. I've had Philly 500 on here a number of times. I've had Kid Blue, Lord Brunson, Ed Oliver, OGR. I've had the Sports Reaction. I don't know what you're talking about, KP. I've had a lot of people on here. But, obviously newer video makers, like, again, we're talking about Giants Alliance. This is David Solo from GMENHQ. The link to his channel is in the description. So please click on that link, sub him up. And if you get a chance to, Giants fans, definitely, check out his articles on GMENHQ. Because again, he wrote a really good one on Daniel Jones. I learned a lot in that article. Like I said, the top end speed, the most accurate quarterback in the NFL over 20 yards, and Nate Solder giving up 59 pressures. So I agree with you as far as him being a big-time fantasy quarterback. Now, I'm in a keeper league, and every year you get to keep two guys. Wherever you draft the guy, the next year you have to give up 2 spots. So if you draft the guy in the 13th round, you give up an 11th round pick. I took Daniel Jones in the 13th round last year. So I have him. I'll be keeping him this year and losing an 11th round pick because I also believe that with a better offensive line, a different coaching staff, a Jason Garrett in there who I love the Jason Garrett signing. Well, actually, I'm going to talk about this and then I'll get your opinion on the coaching staff, what you think of it. Jason Garrett, obviously Cowboy fans make fun of him. I do too, this and Brilly is a play on his wife's name because his wife's name is Brill. But Tony Romo, undrafted out of Eastern Illinois, a nobody, became an all-pro quarterback under Jason Garrett. Dak Prescott, forced into action because Romo got hurt, 4th-round pick out of Mississippi State. Nobody expected anything out of Dak Prescott. Succeeded a lot because of Jason Garrett. May not be the best head coach, but a great offensive coordinator, a guy that used Jason Witten as a huge offensive weapon. And Witten certainly didn't have the physical skills that Evan Ingram does. And he's got a Daniel Jones who's just as mobile as Dak Prescott, can use the RPO, could use the play-action pass. I'm excited to see what Garrett can do with the weapons he has with the New York Giants. What do you think about the coaching staff overall, and who was your favorite hire this offseason?
Yeah, I like a lot of the coaches. I think especially the positional coaches are going to have such a big impact. As we know, like our biggest weakness, like the last 10 years, it seems like even in the 2011 Super Bowl, we didn't have a great offensive line. So I was excited about Mark Colombo, and they were kind of a package together coming over from Dallas, Garrett and Colombo. So many times last year, I feel like we got beat on stunts and like blitzes. And if you remember in the Philly game, the last game of the season, the Eagles would they were like repeatedly blitzing on the A gaps, like right at the center, and they would just bring all their guys. And Jones fumbled on that one play because they got pressure in 0.2 seconds. So we just need. I think we need better offensive line coaching, and Mark Colombo did a really good job. And I know they had all that talent over there, but like La'el Collins, who he developed into a really good right tackle for Dallas, and Colombo gets a lot of credit for that. And Colombo was a good offensive lineman himself, and he has like a similar body type to Matt Pert, supposedly. So he's going to be a good coach for him and helping him develop into like our right tackle of the future. So I like a lot of the, Coach Chaos. He's supposed to be a really good defensive line coach. We have Brett Bielema, the outside linebackers coach I'm excited about. He has a lot of head coaching experience, and that's going to be the key. The X factor to our team is we need one of those guys to surprise us with 8 to 10 sacks. Hopefully Golden can come back, but yeah, I like a lot of the position coaches. Like, do you have a favorite out of those assistant positional coaches?
It would be Colombo for me because again, I think especially with the way the Giants went offensive line heavy in this draft, with 3 out of their first 5 picks, I definitely think that it's an absolute necessity because with Andrew Luck, he retired early because he got killed. David Carr in Houston, he got killed. never developed into the quarterback he could have been because he was getting, knocked around. If your rookie quarterback's, getting shaken constantly and he can't step into a throw, or he's getting blindsided and he has no confidence in his offensive line, he's going to struggle. So the offensive line is extremely important, because the previous 2 drafts, we took Saquon Barkley 2nd and Daniel Jones 6th. So you got to protect those guys. Now, I was a big Isaiah Simmons guy, but I was also a huge Andrew Thomas guy. And I loved Andrew Thomas. That was the guy that I wanted in the draft. Didn't think we'd get him because we were never linked to him. So I'm sitting there going, God, don't take Mekhi Becton, don't take Tristan Wirfs. I like Jedrick Wills too. I'm like, I can definitely take Jedrick Wills, but Andrew Thomas was the left tackle and the best blocking left tackle in the draft, probably the best blocking left tackle in the draft. And I loved Andrew Thomas. And again, in the SEC, you're actually facing big time pass rushers. So I'm excited to see what Colombo can do with this team, and I'm hoping this offensive line becomes what Dallas has. We can pound the ball and, control the time of possession. And that enhances the play action, enhances everything. Everything's predicated off the run. So, that offensive line is going to be very, very important for us.
I think if it could be good. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I didn't even know. I don't even know what I was going to say. I was just going to look for somebody in the chat, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think if we're going to be good this season, we have to kind of replicate what Baltimore and Tennessee did last year with running the ball and getting off to early leads, where we can play from up front, and then we could use the play action because the linebackers got to respect the running game a little more. I think that's the kind of team we have to be, especially trying to keep our defense off the field, because we do have a lot of talented players on defense, but we're young and we're unproven. We don't have much of a pass rush. So we're the kind of team, I think we're built to want to get off to an early lead. Kind of like Tennessee last year and Baltimore. And you saw Baltimore in that playoff game when they fell behind. They just weren't the same kind of team that can just catch up. So, hopefully our offensive line will allow us to get the running game established. Yeah, one of the things I talked about in my article, only 11% of the time did defenses use an 8-man front against us last season. So, I feel like Saquon was just getting hit in the backfield because our offensive line wasn't good enough. So, if they play well, teams are going to have to respect the running game, and then it'll open things up for Jones a little more, in my opinion. So, yeah,
because that'll give him more man-to-man looks, obviously, which would be a huge deal. And if you have an 8-man box and you got a speedster like Slayton on the outside, that can work to our advantage as well. Once again, we're talking about Giants Alliance from GMENHQ. He also has a YouTube channel, which he just started about a month ago. So if you guys haven't subscribed, link to his channel is down below in the description. Click that thing, sub him up, ring the bell, and check out his videos. Also, make sure to check out his columns. He's David Solo. That's Solow, not David Solau, as I pronounced it in my video today. But check out his articles. He does a really good job over there. And I must say, that picture behind you is awesome.
The LT?
That's my guy. Yeah.
I have Manning and LT, so the 2 GOATs for the Giants.
I've been around a while, so I grew up with LT. LT was the guy when I was growing up. So that guy will always have a special place, with me, being a Giants fan, growing up in that era with the 80s. So he was unbelievable, man.
I was born in '88, so I don't remember that era too much. I can vaguely remember the end of Phil Simms' career, when I was really, really small. But I grew up in the '90s, as a young kid, watching the Dave Brown Giants, and they had some tough teams from the '90s. Even though I'm a Yankees fan too, so I used to go to so many Yankees games in the '90s with my dad, and even when the Yankees were winning all those championships and the Giants were so bad, I still like the Giants the most. I've always, I don't know, it's just something about the Giants. They've always been my number 1 team. But yeah. It's still like that today. Do you have a favorite team? Is the Giant? I know you're big on the Lakers too, but is the Giants
I'm actually a Knicks fan. I stream.
Oh, you are.
I'm a Yankee fan, and I was gonna say mine's actually the opposite. The Yankees are my number 1 because again in the '80s they weren't very good. But my dad and I would go an awful lot. We went to a lot of Yankee games, and I talked about this before, going through the tunnel, looking at, just seeing the grass, hearing the crack of the bat, the warm weather, the perfect weather, the smell of the hot dogs and the cracker chicks, the ambiance of a baseball game. It's just etched in it just brings back all the childhood memories of going to the game. Now, I went to Giants games with my dad too, but there's just something about baseball. I don't know what it is. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact I do live in upstate New York and the winters are brutal here. And the summer is just a glorious time, especially, being an adult now, or I go out and I mow the lawn, and then, at 7:00, I know I can come in, I can take a shower, I can sit down with a cold beverage, and I watch the Yankees for 3 hours.
Yeah, I miss that.
Yeah. I grew up with Mattingly, so, that was my guy there. And it's funny because you grew up with a bad Giants team. I grew up with a bad Yankees team, and vice versa. You grew up with a good 90s. Drippy PJ says, will Anger, thank you for the super chat. Brilly, my good man. He says, will Anger be a top 5 tight end, and where will our D rank?
In my opinion, if he stays healthy, he'll absolutely be a top 5 tight end, especially with fantasy and the numbers. He's definitely not the best run blocker, although I think he is a little bit underrated in his run blocking. He's not like a total waste when it comes to that. But with his speed, like you saw in the Super Bowl, like the two teams both had the 2 best tight ends in the league. So, using your tight end and trying to find a mismatch, like that's what the NFL does. Like you see so many times they're going to take the tight end off the line and put him out in the slot. So then if the team's playing like zone or man-to-man. So, I think Ingram is so important to this offense. Like he just brings another dimension. And I think Jones' best game of the season was the game against Tampa Bay. And you saw, Ingram had that long touchdown, like the catch and run. But I would like to see him being used like the way he was used at Ole Miss. He was like, I feel like he had a lot of passes down the seam, and they used him vertically a little more, where Shermer used him like on shorter passes, I feel like most of the time. And maybe that was because of the offensive line, but I'd like to see him like being used vertically, because I don't think he's actually reached his full potential yet. He's still young. And, if the offensive line could hold it together and he could stay healthy, I think he can have a really big year. I like Ingram a lot.
I agree. And obviously the Giants are too. They picked up his 5th-year option. But again, he just presents so many mismatches against linebackers and safeties. And what can I say? Pat Shurmur's an idiot. I don't know. I never liked Pat Shurmur. I never liked that guy. I didn't want him hired here. And I think it was a game against Atlanta in 2018. I was ready. I was done with him that game. He did so many ridiculous things, including a 2-point conversion when we were down 20-9, which did not make any sense to me at all. And then, he did, what was the other thing he did? Oh, he quarterback sneaked Eli Manning 2 times in a row on the goal line instead of giving the ball to Saquon Barkley with no time out.
I remember that. I feel like that happened multiple times where he did things like that. Yeah.
So I was just, what is the guy doing? And James Betcher is another guy. That's why I'm excited about the coaching staff. I feel like these guys are more football oriented, and I like a guy like Jason Garrett who's got a lot of experience with winning football teams. So I think the Giants need that veteran guy who's been in the playoffs. Because we do have a pretty young coaching staff. Obviously, Joe Judge has never even been an offensive defensive coordinator in his career. So it definitely thought outside the box, which again I kind of like the Giants doing, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So they didn't take a retreaded guy. I really didn't want Ron Rivera. I know a lot of guys did, but I don't want retreads. They usually don't work out. I know Colvin came back here and did really well, but a lot of times they don't. So I was glad they went in a different direction and went with a younger coach who I feel like can relate to players a little better. But he wants to make them work. And it comes from, he's coached under Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. You're not getting better than that. You're not getting better teachers than that. But again, he's got to be his own person. He can't do what Belichick did. He can't do what Saban did. He's got to take what he learned from those guys. And he's got to make his own schemes. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited about Joe Judge. Like, I think he probably won over Gettleman and Mara at the interview when he said, like, I'm here to teach the players. Because so many of the young guys we drafted, they started out so promising, but a lot of those guys didn't get any better in their second year. Like Lorenzo Carter, he didn't have such a great second year. Will Hernandez, I feel like he was a little bit better as a rookie, where he struggled a lot last year in his second year. BJ Hill had a really promising rookie season. He kind of regressed in his second year as well. A lot of the offensive linemen, it could have been blamed on Hal Hunter, but I feel like just getting our young guys like DeAndre Baker is going to be key. He's going to be an X factor. I'm excited about Ryan Connolly, but getting those guys coached up, I think, and putting them in good positions is going to be key. And I like a lot of the things that Judge said about like competition and just playing the best guys. He doesn't care where guys are drafted. So yeah, I'm excited about this coaching staff. Everything Judge has said, I've liked, and we'll have to see when they start the season. But he's been doing a good job so far. It seems like.
No doubt about that. Joseph Clark, thank you for the super chat, my man. Brilly, he says DJ's numbers, in spite of his beat up were mind-boggling. Oh, they were 24 touchdowns in 12 games. And again, he had 4 games. He had 4 total touchdowns. And against the Redskins, only rookie in the history of the NFL to throw for over 350 yards, 5 touchdowns, and no turnovers. That's because Saquon Barkley was healthy, and Saquon Barkley tore the Redskins up. So when you have to honor the run, and your pass rush can't get there all the damn time because you have to honor the run, so they're not as aggressive. Because obviously, if you have an aggressive pass rush and you're opening holes for the running back, there's nobody out there. A guy like Barkley is going to take those to the house. So that was obviously a huge game, and that was the Chase Young Bowl, as we called it. And that was great. My favorite part of that game, to me, seeing Caden Smith beat Landon Collins, because I can't stand Landon Collins. Mind-boggling's in the house. I always love when he pops in there. He hangs out in the this guy, my man right there, mind-boggling. He hangs out in the chat, and if he hears me ever go, "What the hell is going on out there?" he pops in. There he is. That's
so funny.
But,
Joseph Clark, I talk with him on Twitter all the time. He's an awesome. He supports me on my new YouTube too, so that's cool that he's here. I agree. Like, Daniel Jones was so good despite all the issues around him in the offensive line, and a lot of the receivers were hurt. Different games. He never had all 5 of his best weapons all together, like right. Shepard, Barkley, Ingram, Slayton. They never played like a single game all together where they're all healthy at the same time. And I know that's like the NFL, but that's not common where you have 0 games with all your best players together. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do with like all his weapons healthy and better offensive line. Yep. So,
and that was one thing that I said. His first game, Saquon Barkley went out with a high ankle sprain, and Golden Tate wasn't there because he was suspended for the banned substance. Yeah. So Evan Ingram did have a big game in Tampa. He did have the big 75-yard touchdown. So obviously he was a part of it, but I think part of that for me watching Daniel Jones play that game, to me it was like Daniel Jones played like Daniel Jones. Like Daniel Jones didn't have any direction, right? He just kind of went with his gut and his instinct. I felt like after that they tried to take some of it away. I felt like they tried to make him a pocket guy, and they didn't have him run as much. Whereas he was just kind of going with the flow in that game against Tampa. And I'm hoping that he has a little bit more leniency to do those type of things with a guy like Joe Judge and Jason Garrett. But I felt like you said, I know he had the big game against Washington, but I felt like his best game was the one against Tampa because he showed his entire skill set in that game.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, it seemed like he was kind of just winging it out there, and guys weren't open. He was scrambling for first downs. He had the 2 touchdown runs, and it didn't seem like Tampa realized how fast he was because he took him by surprise, especially in the 4th down run when he got the game-winning touchdown. But yeah, it seemed like during the season he was a little bit hesitant, and his biggest one of his biggest faults was he would get tunnel vision sometimes. Like, he'd be waiting for a screen against Arizona, and he'd be like, he didn't have that internal clock that he should get rid of the ball. And I remember the sack against the Jets when Jamal Adams just like took the ball away from him.
I was at the game. I had a bird's eye view for that play.
Yeah, that was a tough one. But yeah, you're right. Like, it didn't seem like he was always comfortable, or I think the offensive line had a lot to do with it too. Like, the same thing happened with Eli. I think he was always worried about getting hit. And
oh God, yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, so
Nate Solder actually went out with a concussion in that Jets game. It wasn't him that got beat when Adams ripped the ball away. I don't even know who was in the game at that point, but it wasn't Nate Solder. I do remember he went out with a concussion, so he wasn't even the guy beat.
Yeah, I remember Spencer Pulley was in that game, and he was just getting beat like right up the middle, and Saquon is getting hit in the backfield all game.
Yeah,
he still played well. Jones played well in that Jets game, actually.
He did. That was, Darius Slayton had a huge game in that game as well.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. Oh God, I forgot what I was going to ask you now. I had something to do with that. Who do you think is going to end up being our center to start the year?
Yeah, I wrote like the article that's gotten the most views for me. I wrote about the ideal offensive line configuration for the Giants. So I put Thomas at left tackle. I know some people want to keep Soldier at his natural left tackle position, but I think Thomas is going to be our best offensive tackle already as a rookie. Left guard, I would put Hernandez. I would keep him there. My center would actually be Nick Gates.
Mm-hmm.
I know Pulley is probably the most likely choice. He has the most experience. He played pretty well in some spots in 2018. When he was a reserve last year, he played really bad, I thought. I know Halapio's coming back from an Achilles injury, and he started last year, but even when he was healthy, I don't think he was that good. I would like to see Nick Gates. I know Gates is a tackle who went undrafted out of Nebraska, but he played on the inside a couple of times last year, and I thought he did well there. So he's somebody who's tough. He's kind of like Hernandez, where he can move people in the run game. He's a smart player. I would try him out at center. I also like the kid out of Oregon that we drafted. His name is escaping me.
Shane Lemieux.
Lemieux. I think Lemieux is the more I look into him, the more I like him. Oregon played against Auburn one of the first games of the season, and he went up against like Derek Brown, and they had a really good defensive line, and they were just blowing holes open. So he's a really good run blocker. Like that's what I want to see us kind of evolve into, is like a run first team where Daniel Jones can like do more play action. So to have like him, Lemieux, and then Hernandez and Thomas all together on the line, I think would be like really good for the run game. I just worry a little bit about Lemieux with his pass blocking, because he's a strong guy, but I don't know if he could handle playing center his first season. So
Right.
who would you start at center if you had to choose?
Nick Gates has never played center, but I'm looking at it saying to myself, I can't imagine him being worse than Spencer Pulley. Pulley is just horrendous. And Joe Judge has said I don't care who you are. You're working for your spot. My hot take was that Lemieux was going to start at center for the Giants. So we'll see what happens. That center is a weak spot for sure. Obviously, I think if we move Solder to the right tackle, I think we'll be much stronger with Andrew Thomas at left tackle. And you want, Hernandez and Thomas be together so they can build that chemistry going forward, because Hernandez is still a very young guy. I don't know what Nick Gates played very well on the right side. I really don't know what they're going to do, because this is probably Zeitler's last year. He's older. I believe we can cut him next year. He's not going to cost us anything. Maybe Nick Gates becomes our future right guard. I don't really know. Maybe they draft the right guard next year. Maybe they draft the center. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do. And obviously they drafted Matt Parrott, who's a right tackle. So I really don't know what that right tackle spot's going to have a lot of depth over there. But I think you may see Nate Solder also on the left side with Andrew Thomas. I really don't know how they're going to line up the offensive line. So it'll be interesting for sure. But I was glad that they went out of their way to address it, because this is something that Jerry Reese never did. Yeah. He addressed it with, Justin Pugh one year. He was a terrible tackle. They moved him to a little better. They drafted Eric Flowers. We all know how that ended up. I screamed for years to make that guy a right guard. They never did. And he ended up being a left guard, and actually ended up getting paid $10 million a year because he played so well at left guard for the ski. He's just not he's a big, strong guy too, but he has no pass blocking skills. Obviously at guard, you're hitting a little bit better there. And, that's more of a run blocking spot to open up the holes. And I don't know. He played a lot better. So we'll see. But it'll be interesting. I do like what they did with the offensive line for sure. Mikey Bombers says, better seasons, Redskins or Giants? Are you really asking two Giants fans, Mikey Bombers? I love Mikey Bombers. He's a Yankee fan.
That's the one team.
He's a Redskin.
Yeah. I asked this question to someone like during the draft, because I was watching it with a couple of friends. And I would almost rather the Redskins have drafted Chase Young than Tua, because they were on the clock, and I was thinking, oh, maybe they'll go quarterback. I know they went Haskins last year, but if they like fall in love with Tua and they think he's their guy, Haskins was the 15th pick. He wasn't that great last year. And part of me was like, oh, I'd almost rather them get Chase Young, because I do like having Haskins in the division. I don't think Haskins is that good. I think we talked about it before, and On Ohio State, he had all those good receivers. Guys were wide open.
A lot of passes at Ohio State. A lot of short passes there.
Yeah, he had those really fast receivers, and they would run on like crossing routes and slants, and they were wide open. And like you said before, like if Daniel Jones had that talent at Ohio State, I feel like he could have put up even better numbers than Haskins did. So, yeah, that's the one team I'm confident that we can beat next year. I'm just hoping we can beat Dallas or Philly at least once this year. We came so close to beating Philly twice last season. We should have beat them at least one of those games.
Never close it out. So you hope that with the new coaching staff, they actually know how to close out a game, because it seems like every year we have the Eagles beat in one of these games in the half. We're killing them, and then it's like Pat Shermer was like, well, that was working, so let's do something completely opposite. It's like he turned it all around. Hey, we're running the ball. Barkley's running the ball really well. How about this? We're going to give you 4 touches in the second half of this game.
I think that was like 2 years ago when Barkley just had a monster first half in Philly, and we were dominating that game. I was feeling really good. And then second half, it's like you forget Barkley's even on the field. So, I didn't understand a lot of stuff Shermer did last, as the coach.
Yeah, it was
that's a fair comparison for Danny Dimes. I think it's Josh Allen. Yeah, I think Josh Allen's a good comparison. I think Allen has a better arm. If there's one kind of knock on Daniel Jones, is he doesn't have elite arm strength, but I think he does have a lot of zip on the ball. I think he has enough. He's very accurate. He's definitely more accurate than Josh Allen. I put up a chart of like the most accurate passers with over 20 yards of air time. And Josh Allen was actually last on that chart for deep ball accuracy. So he does have a really good arm, and he's good. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but I think Jones has more upside because he is more accurate than Josh Allen is.
Yes. Jesse Bryan, I see it. How can I be the man when you're the man? Dire Giants fan, thank you so much for the super chat, my man. Really appreciate it. One of my best subscribers, one of the best subscribers out there in the sports community in general. I always like to shout him out because for 2 years, after I moved off the casting couch, it was about a year ago, I sat in a very hard wooden kitchen chair. Well, Dire Giants went out of his way to give me this. So look at that. So he's the man. He says, if the draft was tomorrow, what are our top needs except for pass rusher and center? How would you rank them?
So next year's draft supposedly has an even better wide receiver class than this year. And I know everyone was like hyping up the receivers in this year's draft, but next year's draft has some really good receivers. And I think Golden Tate, I don't know, like his long-term plans on the Giants. He's getting up there in age. And, Slayton's the only guy that's a really like deep threat on the team. So I think, I wouldn't mind us taking one of those elite receivers. Like hopefully we don't pick at the top of the draft, but you never know. And if we do, Jamar Chase, if he was in this year's draft, I think he would have been the first receiver taken. I think he's better than Judy. He was better than Ruggs. If you watched him in the national championship game, he just dominated that game. And he had some really good cornerbacks on Clemson to guard him. So, I would like Jamar Chase for the Giants. I know that's like a pipe dream, but Justin Ross is a receiver I really like out of Clemson. So I think I would pick receiver if it was after pass rush and center. I think receiver is going to be a long-term need. I
agree. I actually did a couple of videos on the way too early next year's draft where, I'm talking about, do we want Gregory Rousseau out of Miami? Do we want Jamar Chase out of LSU? The only thing we're going to see with Jamar Chase is this year, obviously he's a very good receiver, but how much of that was Jamar Chase? How much of it was Joe Burrow? One thing, I did see him in here earlier. I don't know if he's still in here. My man, Goose 76 Sports. So he was in here. Big LSU guy, lives down in Louisiana. And one thing that he told me, which he made a really good point about Derek Dillon, was that he didn't get a lot of opportunities because he played behind, Jamar Chase and the other receivers escape. Oh, Justin Jefferson. So Derek Dillon didn't get a lot of opportunity there because he had to play behind those two guys. So maybe the Giants did find a diamond in the rough. Because again, like you said about Rice and John, you can't coach that size. You either have it or you don't. You can't coach the speed either. Coaching, you run a 4.28 at your pro day. So maybe I'm thinking with a guy like Derek Dillon, if he makes a team, they could use him like teams use Tavon Austin. Now, the difference is Tavon Austin was picked in the top 10. It was a complete bust in his career. But Derek Dillon, that type of guy where he's just really fast. Maybe you run him on jet sweeps. Maybe you run him out of the backfield on some wheel routes. Maybe he is a kick returner. Maybe he is in the slot. Maybe he is your deep threat. There's a lot of things you can do with a guy that runs a 4.28, especially if you have a good coaching staff. These guys want to teach. And as Joe Judge said, tell me what they can do. Don't tell me what they can't do. So you find a guy like Derek Dillon's strengths, maybe he becomes a big-time threat for the Giants.
Yeah, something cool happened on Twitter. Like during the draft, I was excited that right after the draft was over, we kind of prioritized getting Dillon, and I posted a video of him just showing how fast he was and talking about how Joe Judge emphasizes competition, so we're getting these high priority undrafted free agents. And then Tolbert actually liked my tweet, the receivers coach for the Giants. I don't know how he found it, but I thought that was kind of cool. And then it shows that he's actually an LSU guy. So maybe he knows something about Dillon. Our receivers coach is from LSU,
Right.
Dillon from LSU. Maybe he knows how talented he is, or maybe he just didn't get the opportunity. Because I'm sure he has a lot of connections over there. So yeah, he's the guy I'm rooting for the most because he has something that the other guys just don't have with the elite speed.
Absolutely. Nick DeWick, thank you for the super chat, man. Brilly. Makes me sick every time I think about Shermer. Yeah, you got to tell me. Trust me, I when I was at that Jets game, that guy, I don't know if he heard me, but I pretty much, my voice was hoarse from screaming at him for 3 hours because I could not stand Shermer at all. What was this? I did see a question there. Jesse Bryan, he says, Giants Alliance, who is your favorite Giants draft pick this year? It's a good question.
My favorite draft pick. Yeah. I'm a huge Clemson fan, so I wanted Isaiah Simmons so bad. And, I think last year our offense was actually good enough to win a lot of games, which is why I kind of wanted us to pass on an offensive tackle in the first round. At the same time, I'm still happy with Andrew Thomas. Out of all the offensive tackles, he's the best all-around guy. But my favorite pick is McKinney because McKinney does a lot of the same things that Isaiah Simmons can, where he can play in the slot a little bit. So you can put him at like slot cornerback against certain matchups. He can play like linebacker. There's a play of his against Texas A&M where he does like a push and pull technique against a guard, and he kind of tosses a 300-pound guard to the side and gets after the quarterback. So he can do a little bit of everything. He's like a Swiss Army knife. And I know that's like a very common answer, but I'm most excited to see McKinney this year. I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, complete steal for us. That's the jersey I'm getting this year. Once again, guys, we are talking with Giants Alliance. David Solo from GMENHQ writes for GMENHQ, so check him out over there. Also has a YouTube channel that he started about a month ago. Link to his channel is in the description. Click on it, sub him up, ring the bell. And as always, thank you all for being here. I see Saji Syed's in the house, PR52. Jared Williams, how can I be the man when you're the man? I see Scott Robinson, VCJ27, Xenon the Legend, my boy Punkum. I love Punkum. He is in the house. Again, guys, thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate it. Ian, we got time. Thank you for the super chat. Brilly. Talking about Derek Dillon, he said he also broke his hip his sophomore year. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either because there was a game against Auburn where LSU last year was just a powerhouse and they beat everyone. But the year before that, they were playing Auburn and they were losing in that game and it was late. And Joe Burrow hit him on a long bomb, so he kind of lives in LSU lore for helping that game and helping them come back in that game. So he didn't play that much, but at the same time, he did make some big plays and he's very capable. So he's the undrafted free agent I'm rooting for the most.
Yeah.
I see Joseph Clark said that he never thought Shermer would be good. I actually thought Shermer would be – I thought he would actually be good because he was good with Case Keenum in Minnesota. And I just thought he was like a good offensive mind. But as a head coach, I think he's a better offensive coordinator than he is a head coach.
Yeah.
With his like clock management and all the game management stuff he was good
at. Scott Robinson says, Doug, will you miss Pat Shermer? Yeah, I'm going to miss him as much as I miss Eli Apple. Not at all. David Searby says, Austin Mack, does he got a shot to make the team? I think they all have a shot.
Yeah, he might be like the most talented receiver. I think he was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. And Ohio State always had so many good receivers. Like Terry McLaurin was probably the best receiver out of all the rookies last year. So he's been playing behind a lot of guys. He has had a lot of injury stuff too. The thing with Austin Mack is I think he's so similar to a lot of the receivers we already have. Like he's not that fast, so he's reminds me of Sterling Shepard, where he's a very good route runner. He's strong, but he's not big or fast. So I think we need someone like Dylan to develop, and that's just my opinion. Benjamin's another good receiver from Ohio State that we got.
Yeah, and he's a bigger guy. He's 6'4", so he definitely brings more size to it. That was the running joke that Austin Mack and Benjamin Victor wanted to play with Daniel Jones and not Dwayne Haskins. They decided so they didn't want to play with him.
they can choose where they want to go because they're undrafted free agents, right?
Yep. So they said, no. That's the other thing about Dwayne Haskins is, again, this is a guy between the ears. He misses the victory formation because he's too busy taking selfies, after they beat the Lions or whoever. I think it was the Lions game that they ended up beating them. So I don't know. And I know a lot of Redskins fans are, Jay Gruden didn't want him. No, he didn't. He wanted Daniel Jones, which is the truth. But it's not like Ron Rivera is a great offensive-minded head coach. He had Cam Newton. Cam Newton never threw more than 24 touchdowns in any year except for his MVP season when he threw for 35 touchdowns. And the only year that Cam Newton threw for 4,000 yards was his rookie season. So it's not like Cam Newton blew up the spot with passing yards. Cam Newton was effective because Cam Newton was a runner. Dwayne Haskins is not Cam Newton at all. So I don't know why Redskins fans expect him to take a massive step up with Ron Rivera as the head coach.
We don't know that Washington wouldn't have taken Daniel Jones. Like, they're never going to admit, oh, actually, we wanted Daniel Jones, but now, like, we have our second option, Dwayne Haskins. Because I do remember reading that Washington might have traded up a couple of spots to grab Daniel Jones. So I think if you think you're that confident in your franchise quarterback, you don't mess around and wait till number 17. That I give Gettleman a lot of credit because nobody had Jones going that high, but so far he looks like the right pick. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I also think Denver wanted him. Denver can say they didn't want him, but that's BS because, like you said, you have your guy, you take him. You don't wait till the second round to take Drew Lock if you think he's going to be your guy. You wait all that time for him to go through the first round, hoping he falls to you if that's really the guy you're sold on. So no. And also they traded back. I mean, they traded back to 20, and they could have taken him at 20, and they didn't. So I feel like they wanted Daniel Jones, and I feel like the Redskins wanted Daniel Jones. And one thing I did hear after the draft, and again, you don't know how much of this is fact or fiction, but the Giants are trying to work a trade to move up to number 9. And I think Buffalo was picking 9, if I'm not mistaken, that year. They tried to move up to number 9. They tried to use a 17th pick and something else to move up to number 9, in which case, if they could have, they would have taken Josh Allen at 6 and Daniel Jones at 9. But again, who knows? You never know. They all lie. They're like politicians. You can't trust a thing they say. So,
yeah.
So we'll take some questions from the chat, guys. You got some questions there. Throw them out there, and we will answer them for sure.
I don't think Daniel Jones would have been there at number 17. I don't think there's any way. Because even right after the draft, he said he's like there's no way he would have been there at 17. He knew for a fact that some teams were going to take him. So when they were Eli's jersey, they might as well do it like this season, right? Or do they usually wait a few years before they do that?
I think they're going to do it this year. They're joking around about they should do it when we play Tampa Bay because of Brady being there.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah,
that's interaction on Twitter. Now they really should do it. Just to Tom Brady a little bit. But as I said, let's not give him any extra added incentive to beat us, please. Don't tick Tom Brady off. I don't care if he's my age or not. Please don't tick that man off.
Yeah, it's like poking a bear. Like you don't talk trash to Michael Jordan or Tom Brady. You're trying to mess with them.
Giants fan, thank you for dropping Giants Alliance's link in the chat. So once again, guys, if you haven't subbed up to Giants Alliance, the Dire Giants fan was kind enough to just put it in the chat. It's also in the description. So click on it. What do we got? ENA We Got Time says, what do you think Benjamin Victor's ceiling is, and what is the floor? I'll be honest, I don't know enough about Benjamin Victor to even answer that question. I watch a lot of state football, but I
live down here in South Florida, and he's from like this area where he was like another 4-star recruit that played at Ohio State behind like so many talented receivers. And he's very tall. He's 6'4", but he's skinny. And usually guys like that are, if they make it in the NFL, they have speed behind them. But that's why I think he didn't get drafted. And also it was a really good wide receiver draft. So a lot of these receivers probably would have gotten drafted in a normal year. But he doesn't have like the top end speed. Like he didn't perform well at the combine. So I think I think him and Austin are the two best. The two Ohio State guys are the two best receivers. They just don't have the highest upside, in my opinion, that like a Dylan would have. Right. But I think he, out of those receivers, I think he has the best chance probably to make the team. Like if I was going to gamble on it.
Benjamin Bierce asking me my thoughts on Jason Garrett. I've said this a lot, Benjamin. I love the signing. I think Jason Garrett brings something to the Giants that's what succeeded with Dallas. He has a very similar quarterback and Daniel Jones with the mobility factor, but Daniel Jones is much more accurate down the field than Dak Prescott is. Obviously, he doesn't have the offensive line with the Giants that he did have at Dallas. They're working on that this year, so hopefully that happens. Jason Witten was a massive part of what they did over there, and we have a guy in Evan Ingram who creates massive mismatches because of his size and speed. We also have Caden Smith, who had a really good rapport with Daniel Jones at the end of the year. So I'm excited to see what Jason Garrett can do with this offense. People said, well, Dallas just chucked the ball around the field, and Dallas, they never ran the ball. They just threw the ball. They threw the ball all day. No. Zeke Elliott had the second most rushing attempts in the NFL last season. It's just Dallas runs a lot of plays because Dallas controls the time of possession, which is what I'm hoping Jason Garrett brings here because we get killed in time of possession. And as David mentioned earlier, the Giants defense is very young. It's talented, but it's unproven. If we're going to help our defense out, the offense needs to have 32, 33 minutes of possession a game as opposed to 27, 28 minutes that we've had over the last 3 years. That's what I like about Jason Garrett. I feel like he brings that aspect to this offense. So I'm excited to see, what he can do there.
Yeah, I like Caden Smith a lot too. Supposedly, Gettleman was deciding between Caden Smith and Slayton in the 5th round of the draft last year, and he ended up going with Slayton, which is a good choice. And Caden Smith was drafted by the 49ers, and then they released him for whatever reason. But he was really good with Daniel Jones towards the end of the year. So him and Ingram, I think, were pretty good at tight end.
Raymond Manaf says, name our Pro Bowlers this season. I'll let you start with that one, and then I'll go.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious one is Saquon. I think, if you were going to gamble on it, Saquon's the best bet by far. The only reason he still got 1,000 yards last year, but when he came back from the high ankle sprain, he wasn't 100% himself. And then at the end of the season, you saw in the Redskins game and then the Philly game, he was back to his old self. Like he was very explosive again. So if he can stay healthy, definitely him. Another guy I really like, and I'm a Clemson fan, so I might be biased, but I like Dexter Lawrence. I think he's going to have a really good second year. I'm excited about him. I think he's very good at stopping the run, but he's like underrated as a pass rusher as well. So they would be my two first picks.
I was very excited when the Giants drafted these guys, the guys that I wanted. I remember saying going into the 2019 draft that the Giants could take 3 straight defensive players and I'd be happy. Josh Allen was the guy that I pined for. And again, like you, I didn't think he was falling to us at 6, which is why I reacted the way I did. Dexter Lawrence was another guy that I really wanted. And we ended up taking him at 17. I thought maybe that was a reach, but I mean, where else were they going to take him? And DeAndre Baker was the other one, believe it or not. So they took 2 of the 3 guys that I really wanted. I think Dexter Lawrence was great at Clemson. Obviously part of a national championship team there. And he had a really good rookie season. He was one of PFF's highest rated rookie defenders. So I think that with a good coaching staff, again, he could send in, the new defensive line coach, that I think that he could take a big step up and maybe make the Pro Bowl this year. My guys, and again, these are hot takes. Daniel Jones, I've said it early. I think he'll make the Pro Bowl. I think Andrew Thomas makes the Pro Bowl as a rookie left tackle, and Saquon Barkley. Those would be my guys that I think, and I think Xavier McKinney is up there for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Come on, give me. I got to be optimistic for once. I was going 6-10, but damn it, I have to have some positivity for a change.
I'm going 8-8. I've said 7-9. I had the hug on my show, and I predicted 7-9. But I'm feeling more optimistic lately. I like a lot of the things that are being said about the coaches, and I'm excited about Daniel Jones. I think he's going to be much better. So I'm picking 8-8 this year.
Dyer John, thank you for the super chat. Brilly, he says, how would you rate our secondary among the league?
Yeah, that's one of the strengths of our defense, I think, is our secondary. Like, we have a lot of depth. I like Darnay Holmes a lot. He was one of my favorite late round picks. Deion Sanders, he was talking about all the guys at the combine. He said that Darnay Holmes, even more than Okudah or anyone, was like the most impressive cornerback at the combine. And I know the combine might be overrated to some fans, but I think for a cornerback, it matters a lot, having that top end speed. And he's a strong guy. I think he actually played against Oklahoma, and he was doing pretty good against Hollywood Brown a couple years back. Mm-hmm. So I like Darnay Holmes a lot. I think he's going to be good in the slot. I like Julian Love. I mean, ideally, I think we're not like at the level of like the Patriots or the Chargers have a really good secondary. But I mean, if you're being really optimistic, maybe we can get into the top 10. But I think with our pass rush, it's going to be tough for our secondary to rank really high because we have to find ways to get after the quarterback. I think Patrick Graham's going to have to be really creative.
I agree. And they're young. Obviously a good pass rush alleviates some of the pressure off the secondary because no matter how good they are, secondaries, cornerbacks and safeties can't cover for 7 seconds. Either they're going to get beat or they're going to penalty. So, I agree with you. I think that we have a huge, tremendous upside. I just don't know how good they're going to be the rookie season. But again, I think by the end of the year, they definitely could be a top 10 secondary. I'm excited about the secondary. I played cornerback in high school. I've always been a secondary guy. So I'm always rooting for the secondary guys without a doubt. My man Punkum says, Giants Alliance on Baddog Sports. What do you think about Matt Peart? I think he could be a huge star.
Yeah, I like Peart a lot. He's actually from the Bronx. He's a New York kid, and he grew up playing basketball more than football. So he does have a lot of athleticism. And at UConn, he played his first 2 years at left tackle, and then he played right tackle last year. So he has, versatility. He's a really good run blocker. I think he would be best off being a reserve for this season. I don't think he's going to start right away. But at the same time, I could see him like getting in during games as like an extra offensive lineman because he is so athletic. And then you give him experience. Maybe he can, you could put him in on the goal line, or you can put him in like a short yardage situation because teams do that a lot where they have like 6 linemen on the field. And I like having like the right tackle of the future on the team already. And then you have Thomas on the other side. So 3 of the first 5 draft picks, linemen. I like, Gettleman's going to just fix this offensive line no matter what it takes.
Yeah, I know Kid Blue is very high on Peart as well. And, before he got hurt, Will Beatty, however you say that, from UConn was also very good for us. So Giants, had a little success with the UConn offensive lineman. I also agree. I think that Peart could be very good. And I do think he will be the right tackle of our future. Sajid Syed, thank you for the super chat. Brilly, he says, what do you think DJ's ceiling could be? I'll answer this real quick because I've answered this a bunch of times, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Ceiling to me is rich man's Alex Smith. That's where I am. I think that he could be like Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith doesn't turn the ball over a lot as far as interceptions go. Daniel Jones has to get the fumbles in order. But Alex Smith, the difference is when I say rich man's Alex Smith doesn't take chances deep down the field. Daniel Jones is a very, as we've talked about earlier, very accurate deep ball passer, which is why he's a rich man's Alex Smith. He's mobile like Alex Smith. He can run like Alex Smith. He's accurate like Alex Smith, but he can throw deep unlike Alex Smith and will take chances. And they're, without his receivers dropping it or with a full complement of receivers, he could be a very good deep ball passer. So that's why I give him a rich man's Alex Smith. And Alex Smith was a winner. He's not going to be Drew Brees, in my opinion. He's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to be Tom Brady, but I definitely think he could be rich man's Alex Smith. I think DJ could be the absolute ceiling, about the 5th best quarterback in this league at his peak. That's where I would put him.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this a lot lately. I didn't talk about it in my article, but I would put his ceiling, and this isn't something that's, likely to happen this year or even in a couple of years, but I do kind of compare him to Aaron Rodgers in a couple of ways. I think the way, his deep ball accuracy, if you look at the chart, yeah, I hope so, but his deep ball accuracy, very similar to Aaron Rodgers. He actually ranked higher than Aaron Rodgers in, accuracy on those deep passes last year. But his scrambling, I think, is very underrated. He's very fast. He made a couple of plays where, like, he was in the pocket and Washington had him all surrounded, and he just, like, finds a way to get out. And he can make plays with his legs. And that's what makes, in my opinion, Rodgers so special, is his ability to scramble and make plays with his feet and, find guys open. And he kind of improvises. I think Jones has that ability. Like you said last year, his best game of the season was against Tampa Bay, where he was doing a lot of that improvised stuff. And, he wasn't thinking so much. And that's the kind of Rodgers plays.
Yeah. So, Dire Giants fan, thank you for the super chat, my man. Brilly. And I just see that now. I just answered that question. So I appreciate you didn't have to do that, Dire Giants fan, but I appreciate that. He just asked Punkham's question for him. So I actually just saw that, and then I just went down a little bit and saw that. So thank you, Dire Giants fan. I appreciate that so much, man. My boy Benjamin Wynn is in the house. What's going on, Benjamin? Listen, you don't ever need to apologize for missing a stream, being late to a stream. Your life does not revolve around the Bad Diggity Dizzle. I appreciate you guys being here. But trust me, it's okay. You don't ever need to apologize. Life happens, especially if it's a family emergency, Benjamin. I'm the last worried about.
I recognize Benjamin from Twitter. I don't know if it's the same Benjamin Nugent, but I recognize that name from Twitter. So I don't know. It might be someone that's someone I follow, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. I can't remember if he's on Twitter. I think he is on the Twitters, if I'm not mistaken. Patrick Vernice says, where do you rank the Giants in the NFC East?
Yeah, unfortunately, I still think we're in 3rd. I think the Cowboys, I like the Cowboys draft a lot this year, actually. I think I was kind of upset when they took CeeDee Lamb. I thought they were going to end up taking McKinney. But the thought of trying to go up against that offense where they have CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, they still have Elliott and a pretty good offensive line. I think they definitely have more talent than the Giants at this point. And the Eagles, I still think the Eagles have our number. And until we beat them, I would rank us 3rd. But I do see us being more competitive. And I think we're going to beat one of those teams this year, either the Cowboys or the Eagles. I don't think we're going to get swept by both. That's just my prediction.
I hope not. I think that we can definitely split with those guys. No doubt about it. I think we can sweep the Redskins. So hopefully that happens. So hopefully we go 4-2 in this division. I think that, honestly, again, I picked us to go 6-10, but I believe that if the Giants or any team that owns this division, if a team in this division goes 5-1 in the division, they're going to win the division. Because we all have tough schedules. We all play the AFC North. We all play the NFC West. And hell, the Eagles on top of those divisions have the Saints and Packers, and the Cowboys have the Vikings and Falcons. So it's not like they have easy schedules either. If we can sweep Washington and beat Philadelphia and Dallas, then we got a chance. I just want to say what's going on to my man, Cali Blue. I haven't seen you in forever, my man. Well, I saw you recently. Not so long ago, but always good to see my man Cali Blue. Big Panthers fan. He says it's weird to say, but I miss Gettleman because he was such a Panther cancer, but he could build a team.
Yeah, I know he got kind of unpopular there at the end. He's really good in the draft. I don't like a lot of his moves in free agency, and he made some bad trades. Like the Leonard Williams trade is really bad, but the Alec Ogletree trade, I think he doesn't get enough blame for because he was really bad for us. But the last couple of drafts, I think he's done such a good job, and he set us up really well, especially his mid draft, like 3rd, 4th, 5th rounders. I think he's done a really good job in that area of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, look at Julian Love. You look at Darius Slayton. You look at those guys. It's awesome. My man goes to Judith. One of my favorite trolls is in the house, and he says, "Thank you for the super chat, Brilly. Danny Penny strip sacked again. Vamos Asos." He's a Bears fan. He has Mitch Trubisky over there. Oh, actually, they don't even have Mitch Trubisky anymore. Nick Foles. So he's mad that they traded up for Trubisky when they could have had Pat Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, or either or. Could have traded back and got him.
Yeah, supposedly you guys didn't even talk to Watson. I don't understand that. He was so good at Clemson. Like, I knew he was
my favorite quarterback in the league.
Yeah, he's so good. I don't know what they're doing in Houston with their trades and stuff, but they're still going to be good because they have Watson. So
I love you to try, though. He cracks me up. Jared Williams, ask your question. I'll wait for your question. You know, we got 156 people in here, so it's not. I don't see every question that's going by. You know, I'm talking to a guest here. I'm looking at him. I'm looking at the chat, so I don't see everything that goes by. But ask your questions. What are my thoughts on DJ? Is that what his question was? Is that what the question was, Dire Giants fan? I'm guessing. This
is my first time doing a stream with this amount of people, and it's hard to keep track of the questions. Like
it's you don't see them all. Not to mention, like I said, StreamYard will freeze, and then it will like bulk load a bunch of messages, and half of them I don't see, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay, so from Jared Williams, he says, "What are your thoughts on Daniel Jones?" He must be asking you. He's in all of my streams, so he knows my thoughts on Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I'm really high on Daniel Jones. I just wrote an article. I think he's going to be like in that elite tier of fantasy football quarterbacks, because I think one of the main reasons actually is I think he's going to run the ball a little more in the run pass option. With Dallas, Jason Garrett got, I think, 20-something touchdowns with Dak Prescott in the last couple of years. So I could see Daniel Jones using his legs a little more. But he was the most accurate passer on passes 20 yards down the field. So he's very good with the vertical passing game, which is what Jason Garrett's going to implement a little more. I think he's going to have a better offensive line, which is going to help a lot in so many different ways. I think they're going to focus on running the ball even more so that they can use play action. And Daniel Jones was actually much better in play action passes than he was just dropping back in the pocket. So I could see him used on like bootleg plays and taking advantage of his athleticism a little more. So I'm really high on Daniel Jones.
Well, that's my thing. I think Pat Shurmur didn't play to his strengths, and I think Pat Shurmur didn't play to any player's strengths, which was ridiculous, and which is why we failed. And one thing I loved about Joe Judge was that he said the game plan is going to depend on our opponent, which is exactly what the head coach is supposed to say. You don't do the same game plan every week, which is what Shurmur would do. It seemed like we call the same plays every week, no matter the situation, no matter the opponent. But I like that he said there's going to be some games we run 40 times. There's going to be some games we pass 40 times. It's just going to depend on who we're playing. So I love that. Yash Gawadi, thank you so much, man. He says, "Sir, I love your show. It's awesome." He was in my KBO baseball stream this morning. I'll definitely tell my friends to subscribe to your channel. You're doing a great work, buddy. Keep it up. Thank you, Yash. I appreciate that very much, man. It means the world to me. So thank you. ENA, we got time. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Brilly. He says, "I think Kyler Murray getting a wild card / MVP train is a bit far-fetched. Y'all thoughts?" Not me. I don't think it's far-fetched. I said that. The Cardinals are my dark horse in the NFC to make the playoffs, and Kyler Murray is my dark horse MVP. So I don't think it's far-fetched at all. I think adding DeAndre Hopkins, I think a year under Cliff Kingsbury there in Arizona, I think they had a very good draft. They took Isaiah Simmons to help out their defense. You say, well, they passed on Jedrick Wills at the right tackle, which you need, but they ended up getting Josh Jones in the third round, which was a complete steal. So if you look at their draft, hypothetically, Isaiah Simmons in the first, DeAndre Hopkins in the second, probably the best receiver in the NFL, and then Josh Jones in the third round. So he won Rookie of the Year last year with a beat-up Cardinals team, and now you got a year under your system, a year under your belt. You're acclimated to NFL speed. You added a DeAndre Hopkins, and you got your right tackle. I think that Arizona, even though they play in a really tough division, I think they got a chance, an outside chance. And if they do make the playoffs, Kyler Murray's got a good chance to win the MVP because he's going to be the reason they get there.
Yeah, he makes some like ridiculously good throws. He's also very accurate on the deep ball too, like the same way he was at Oklahoma. I think he didn't really have that great of weapons last year on the Cardinals, but Hopkins is going to be huge for that team.
Yeah, I agree. KP says Baddog just said something that Skip Bayless should agree with me. He sound much smarter on his show if he agreed with me more often. Obviously, I'm joking around. Well, no, I'm not. Skip Bayless is an idiot. But yeah, guys, they asked subscribe. I see my boy Keki's in the house. What is going on? Take it. Thank you for joining the stream. Dan Omac, PSL. What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for being here. Sports experts in the house. The Thrashed Crow is in the house. What's going on? Thank you guys for being here. Again, we're talking about Giants Alliance. David Solo from GMENHQ writes an article for GMENHQ, so check that out when you get a chance. Also started a YouTube channel about a month ago. The link to his description, the link to his channel is in the description. Easy for me to say. Dire Giants fans also been putting it in the chat, so click on that link, sub them up, ring the bell, and as always, thank you guys for being here. We really do appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Giants fan.
Oh yeah, of course. He's the man. Dire Giants fan is the man. Aiden Chris says Pat Mahomes winning the MVPs, definitely the best quarterback in the league. Not gonna argue that. I didn't say Murray would win the MVP. He's the dark horse for me, which means he's a long shot, but I think that he could. But then again, I picked Baker Mayfield doing it last year, and we all know how that worked. So maybe I'm biased. I'm a Sooners guy, so maybe I'm biased.
Yeah. I think Pat Mahomes he's just so talented. If he stays healthy, it's got to be his award. I know last year he struggled with injuries and he didn't have the best regular season, but if you remember the year before, he was just ridiculously good. And I think the Chiefs should have won it 2 years ago. The way they lost to the Patriots in that playoff game. The offsides. Yeah, the offsides. I think it was D Ford.
Yeah.
So that was another lucky Patriots Super Bowl, but. Yeah, I would say Patrick Mahomes. I just think he's the most talented quarterback. Supposedly, McAdoo was really high on Mahomes, but I don't think
and Reese wouldn't, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that could have changed things a lot, but yeah, supposedly I've read that he was really high on Mahomes.
Well, I'll tell you another thing. I don't know if you know this or not. And I read this maybe a year ago. A couple years ago. So 2008, the Kansas City Chiefs offered us Tony Gonzalez for a 4th-round pick, and Jerry Reese wouldn't take it. He said he wouldn't give more than a 6th-round pick. Can you imagine?
We went to Atlanta and had so many more good years after that.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I never heard that one. That's crazy. Yeah.
Tony Gonzalez in the 2008
with Eli. Oh, yeah. I don't even know who the 4th or the 6th-round pick was that year. That's crazy.
It wasn't anybody good because we all know that after 2008 he couldn't draft after the 1st round. He was terrible.
After the 2007 draft, you would think he's like the best GM in the league. Like Ahmad Bradshaw in the 7th round. Yeah, Kevin Boss in the 5th round. Steve Smith in the 2nd round. And then after that, he did have a couple of more good picks. Like Jason Pierre-Paul was a very good pick. Akeem Nicks was a good pick in 2009.
Took J-Ron Hosley. Took Javon Wade. He took Marvin Austin. He had some bad. Yeah. Took Clint Stentum. He didn't know what he was doing. Rahul Kumar's got a good question. He says, do we take Trevor Lawrence if we somehow end up with the number 1 overall pick? And the reason that this is a good question, Giants fans may say, no way, we have Daniel Jones. If we're picking 1st overall, Dave Gettleman's not our GM. So does that mean GM comes in here and takes Trevor Lawrence? I
think it's a very good possibility. Like if somehow we just had a disaster of a season and we picked number 1, we're either going to take Trevor Lawrence, or we're going to trade it for some like monster deal where we get like a plethora of draft picks where a team would have to blow us away. Because I think Trevor Lawrence, like I'm a big Clemson fan. I think he's like the best quarterback prospect since. Maybe Peyton Manning. Like I think that highly of him. He's so athletic. He has like the prototypical size. He's a very good quarterback. So I know Joe Burrow was very good last year. I don't know if he could replicate that season, but I'm expecting a big year out of Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I agree. I think that could definitely happen, no doubt about it. And I like Trevor Lawrence myself. I mean, obviously, the only ACC team I'm watching is Clemson. So, Trevor Lawrence started off bad last year, and then he came on really big time at the end of the year. So, I think that North Carolina game scared him, and then all of a sudden you saw.
Oh yeah.
It was his freshman year, but it'll be very interesting because again, if we're picking first overall, Gettleman's not going to have his job, and then it depends on what the new GM wants to do. Does he believe in Daniel Jones, or like you said, does he? If he believes in Daniel Jones, he trades it for a king's ransom, or he doesn't and says we're going Trevor Lawrence. Benjamin Wynn, thank you for the super chat. Brilly. Kobe's induction delayed till next year. I know that sucks. Just like Derek Jeter, Derek Jeter's had to. Same thing. It got delayed, which sucks, but he's going in. Kobe, the Black Mamba, the man. He is the man. So, he'll get in there. Then hopefully Laker Dog comes back here very soon. We get Yankee baseball and everything else that, I can stream at a decent time and not 5 in the morning. That'd be nice. Dire Giants fan, thank you for the super sticker, my man. Brilly. I really appreciate it. Whee! So much easier.
I heard that. Thanks, the man.
Sticker right there. Whee! You're the man, buddy. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it. I act out all the super stickers. This is why the chair came about, because there was one night I probably got 40 of those, and I had to turn myself around in a wooden chair. That's why Dire Giants fan is the man. That's so fun. You got to be much easier to do it on this chair. Simon Z, thank you for the super chat. Brilly, my guy, man. He says, why is Trevor Lawrence set in stone? Jones might be Manning. Oh no, he's not. He's not set in stone.
Yeah, I don't think he's set in stone.
That's what we're saying. It would depend. The only reason that's a question is because Dave Gettleman's not our GM. If we finish 2-14 and we're picking first, they're firing Dave Gettleman. There's not a doubt in my mind. And they should. If we go 2-14, even though I've said we have to have stability here, if we regress from last year, he needs to be going. But so picking first, we're gonna have a new GM, and then usually a new GM wants to start over with his own guys. When Gettleman got here, you notice there's barely any Reese guys left. So if we have a new GM, it'll depend on what he wants to do with that quarterback position. That's why we're talking about that. I don't think it's definitely not set in stone. It would just depend on what the new GM wants to do it. I see my girl Last Jedi is in the house. What's going on, my lady? Thank you for joining the stream. I love Ghost of Drew Trife. Says Giants stink. Like the Bears are good. That's why I love him. He's just hilarious. Techie, thank you for popping in, my man. He says he's on his way to work. So appreciate you swinging in. Obviously a Texas Tech fan, my man Techie. So he got to see Pat Mahomes over there at Tech, and I always love when Oklahoma kicks their ass every year. That's always good for me. Great Heisman, what's going on? Snake Spencer is in the house. What's going on? There's an Ohio State fan and a Browns fan. What's going on? What's up, Delia? Pirate 1999. Kyle, thank you all for being here. Again, we're talking with Giants Alliance. David Solo from GMENHQ writes an article, or writes a column for GMENHQ, or maybe not a column, writes articles. What am I trying to say here? You write articles for GMENHQ, right?
Yeah, articles
out there. Giants Alliance, link to his channel is in the description. So please sub him up. Started a YouTube channel about a month ago. So sub him up if you get a chance. LSU Tiger Cat, what's going on, my lady? Thank you for joining the stream. Obviously, there's an LSU fan. So I see my guys and girls from Uncle Lou's stream flying in here. Big college fans over there, obviously.
Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is in my opinion, he's set in stone to be good in the NFL. When he was a freshman, he outplayed Tua in the national championship game.
Oh, he did.
He played so well in that game. That whole season, he played well. He didn't even end up starting like in the beginning of the season, but when he took over, he played really well. And last year, he struggled a little bit. I think he had such high expectations. Maybe that got to him a little bit. And Clemson still had a really good year. But in the game against Ohio State, they were losing for most of that game, and he just like willed them to victory. He's kind of like Daniel Jones. He's like underrated with his athleticism, but I think he's actually a little taller than Daniel Jones. And I love Jones. I don't think we're gonna end up picking first overall, but like you said before, you never know if we end up picking first. I just don't think that's gonna happen. I would put a very small % chance that happens.
Yeah, I agree. I can't see that happening either. I thought Ohio State was going to win the whole thing last year. They were so good, and again, that just shows you what kind of winner that he is. And I mean, the big knock on Trevor Lawrence going into the national championship game against Alabama was the ACC's weak. The ACC is no good. They didn't play any tough competition. They're going to get crushed by Alabama. I also thought Alabama would beat them simply because I thought, I saw what Alabama did to Oklahoma. Not that that's really a big deal. Everybody in the SEC kills Oklahoma. We play in one of the weakest Power 5 conferences in the country. We beat up on a weak Big 12 conference with no defense. Then we play a real team and we get, the brakes beat off of us. But what he did against Alabama as a freshman, showing no signs of nervousness, to me, I said, that kid's got, and up here, he's got the wherewithal to do it. He's got the heart to do it. Nothing phases him. He's on the biggest stage as a freshman, and he destroyed the best team in college football, over the past decade. So I was impressed. Sports Expert says, I have a question for David. Does he get team news like trades and signings from sources like Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport do?
No, definitely not. That would be really cool. I'm just a Giants fan like you guys. Like I write for this. I applied for this website in January, and I've been writing for it more and more. I'm actually a school teacher too, so but over the summer I'm gonna have a lot more time to write articles and make videos and stuff like that. So I wrote one article about Sandro Platzgummer, who's our international player pool guy we took from Europe, and one of the coaches ended up from Europe, like reaching out to me. So I was able to include some of his information in the article. And that kind of stuff is cool to me when that happens. He's an interesting player. He was like the best player in all of Europe. And I know they get like dismissed with the athletes they have over there, but a lot of Americans, like D1 players, will go over to Europe and play. And he's somebody that, he might surprise people in training camp. But yeah. So I don't know if that answers the question too well, but.
Diehard Giants fan, thank you for the super chat, man. Brilly. When do you see the Giants winning the Super Bowl? Because I answered this last night, or whatever. I forgot when I answered this. I think I answered it on the panel, so he knows my answer.
Yeah, definitely not this year. If I had to guess, I could see, because like Daniel Jones is on his rookie contract right now, and this is the time to take advantage of that. Like when Russell Wilson was on his rookie contract, the Seahawks were able to build that like monster defense. So I could see, if it happens, I could see it like happening in like 2 years from now, like maybe 2022. Jones is on like one of the last years of his rookie deal. We get like a monster defense, and Saquon can do his thing. But yeah, I feel like that's going to be the time to take advantage of Jones when he's still cheap.
Yep, 2022 is exactly what I said. Deadly Dashy, happy belated birthday to you, sir. Ghost of Judah Tribe continues to troll the chat. Oh God, freaking Ghost of Judah Tribe. But again, guys, if you got any questions, ask them. How long do you want to go tonight, man? You can. If you got something to do, man, you can take off at any time.
I mean, this is fun to me. If you keep me, I could stay here.
No, hey, that's fine. I didn't know what you had planned, so no, we can.
Yeah. Man, I can write it out if it's cool with you.
No, that's
I have fun. I could talk Giants any day.
That's awesome. I usually do these for like 2.5 hours, so I go to like 12:30, and then I cut it off. Sometimes I go to 1 o'clock, but I was up at 4:30 this morning, or 4:50, so I'm not going to go to that extra half an hour tonight. I would have cut it off at the 2.5 hour mark tonight.
Are you doing the stream tomorrow for the baseball too in the morning?
No. I'll do that Friday. So yeah, we'll do Talkin Giants tomorrow night on Chris's channel, which normally I talk to Chris like after the show's over. We'll talk to like 1:32 in the morning. Like it's like, we talk about the Giants. We talk about, the shows going forward, we talk about a lot of stuff. But I always have to tell them I got to cut it off because I got to get up in 4 hours. And then Friday night, I'll be on OGR Sports' channel. So definitely trying to work with more Giants YouTubers, and StreamYard makes it so much easier, which is awesome. So, that's really cool. Dan Omack says, what's up with Love in the secondary? Is he the starting nickel?
I actually like Love to start on the outside. That's where he played at Notre Dame. He played really well. The knock on him is that he doesn't have the elite top end speed, but I think just like DeAndre Baker didn't have the elite top end speed. Like if they play press man to man, he's a little bit bigger and he can play well against those bigger cornerbacks. I'd like him to start at the outside. My first option for the nickel would actually be Darnay Holmes, and I know he's a rookie, but he's like the perfect body type for a nickel. He's strong, he's tough. He'll be good in press man to man as well, and he has experience playing on the outside too. But we have a lot of depth in our secondary. Like Sam Beal, if he can actually stay healthy, he can be an option in the outside. And Ballantyne, he might be like the most athletic out of all of them, but he can be an option as well, and he's good on special teams. So I think the secondary might end up being like one of the biggest strengths on the defense, maybe after the defensive line with those three big guys.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because again, I think Darnay Holmes could definitely end up taking the nickel spot to start, especially with DeAndre Baker if he is suspended, which he probably will be. I can't imagine he's not going to be suspended. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott was not proven guilty, and he still lost 6 games anyway. So I have to imagine there's going to be some kind of punishment, whether it be within the team or Roger Goodell punishes him. So you could see Love start at that opposite corner of Bradbury, and then Darnay Holmes starting at the nickel. Tendons of Steel, thank you, sir. He says, what's going on, Baddog? My first time joining one of your vids, man. Keep up the good work, bro. I'm looking forward to going against you guys week 1 on Monday night. Me too. I'm just looking forward to week 1. It'll be interesting. I think the Steelers are definitely a team that we could beat if we play well, but it all depends on Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know if Roethlisberger is going to be healthy. If he's completely healthy, maybe difficult. I love that they got Anthony McFarland was one of my favorite guys in this draft. I was hoping the Giants took him late in the draft, which is why I'm high on Javon Leake, because somebody said, Baddog, you like McFarland, check out Javon Leake. He actually had a better year than Anthony McFarland. But McFarland ran a 4.4 40. Javon Leake does not run like that. So, I know.
Yeah, Leake, he had a 4.65 40, and that was surprising because if you watch him on tape, he's pretty explosive.
Yeah, it's weird. It's strange. I think
the combine, the numbers aren't as like legitimate this year or something, because supposedly some of the guys like ran really late at night and they weren't prepared, and a lot of people don't put as much stock into the combine numbers as they used to. So it could have been just like a fluke or something. That's what I'm hoping, because Leak, he could be somebody, maybe as like a third string running back.
Yeah, that's what I think. I actually said I think Javon Leake will make this team as a third string running back. He could also be a kickoff returner as well. But I do think that he makes the team as running back. I think he'll beat out Gallman, for sure. And Deion Lewis is here for a year. So I think Javon Leake, they may want to take a look at him just to see what they have there. Ian, we got time. Thank you for the super chat, my man. Brilly. Thoughts on the Colts having a bad record because of Rivers? I don't think they have a bad record. I think they'll be good. They had a great draft. They got Michael Pittman. They got Jonathan Taylor. I think that they are set up pretty good. And I think Rivers is better than Jacoby Brissett. So I think they're going to be just fine. I think
Buckner from the 49ers. He's really good. And then they have I think their offensive line might be one of the best in football. And it's sad because Andrew Luck didn't have a good offensive line for so many years, and then finally he's so beat up he can't play anymore. And they asked like Phil Rivers, what's one of the reasons you want to go to the Colts, and he just listed the 5 offensive linemen that the Colts have. So I think they're set up to be good. And Philip Rivers, he's not mobile or anything, but if he gets protection, he can put up numbers.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I think he can have a really good year, especially if they can run the ball. And I think Jonathan Taylor, I just think they had a really good draft. I think the Colts are already good. Them and the Ravens both had really good drafts. They're already really good. So Kansas City's going to have some competition. I actually think Baltimore is going to make the Super Bowl this year. I really do. I think killed it with the draft. Perry Mack says, would the Logan Ryan be a good signing? I don't want Logan Ryan here. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, I think he would be really good. I just think he's so expensive. I don't know. He made $10 million for 3 years with Tennessee, and supposedly he wants like something in that same ballpark. I don't know if the Giants have the cap room, and he is more of a nickel cornerback, but he can play a little bit on the outside. I just don't know if if we could afford him. And we have so many of those young guys. I think we're better off in the long term giving them, a chance and giving them some reps. So yeah, I agree with you about Logan Ryan.
Yeah, again, he's more of a nickel guy. He's an older guy. To me, the Giants addressed their secondary with the Darnay Holmes, with the Williamson. They went out and they signed Bradbury. I know we have the DeAndre Baker problem, but regardless, I don't want to start signing guys. We don't have a lot of cap space, and I think we have what we have. I think that's just going to be what it is. And I think next year, then we'll have a lot more cap space, so they can decide what they want to do. But I think at that point, you're going after a free agent. I don't think that the Chargers they're not going to be able to tag both Ingram and Bosa. So one of those guys is going to be available. Maybe the Giants go after Melvin Ingram if they tag Bosa or vice versa. So it'll be interesting. But that's
what we're missing. That elite
guys I want. What were you saying?
Ingram would be awesome. We're still missing that elite pass rusher. I think who out of like the pass rush guys do you think has the best chance of like making the leap? Like, would it be Jimenez or Lorenzo Carter, or is it going to be one of the inside guys like Leonard Williams or Dexter Lawrence? Like, who's going to end up leading this team in sacks? I know Golden has a good chance of coming back, but besides him, is there anyone that you like the best in like the pass rushing department to lead the team?
I know a lot of guys like Jimenez. I was a big Lorenzo Carter guy. I thought Lorenzo Carter was going to take a huge step forward in his second year, and he obviously regressed. Jimenez reminded me a lot of Lorenzo Carter. Like, whenever Lorenzo Carter was on the field his rookie season, he always seemed to be in the middle of a play, getting a sack, breaking a pass, making a tackle for a loss. And I'm like, oh, this kid's going to be really good. I don't know if you ever watch Uncle Lou, big-time college football video maker, really good. One of my favorite video makers on here. He's a Georgia Bulldogs fan, so whenever I have a question about a guy like that, I mean, obviously I know Andrew Thomas, but a guy like Lorenzo Carter, I said, how good is he? He said he's a 7 with the possibility of being a 10. So watching him play his rookie season, I was really hyped up. And that tells you how bad the coaching is when you're, like you mentioned, these guys regressed. He regressed. BJ Hill regressed. So it tells you the coaching didn't get the most out of these guys. Jimenez reminded me a lot of that. Seemed like whenever X-Men was on the field, he did a really good job. He was always involved in a play. But, kind of like Golden came in, it was a specialty of the Betcher system. I think Kyler Fackrell could end up actually leading this team in sacks. You want to go off the wall with something. It wouldn't surprise me if Fackrell ended up with 8 or 9 sacks, to be honest with you. But if I'm going to, that's an outside chance. But yeah, I don't think anybody on this team is getting 12 sacks, but I think you could have a bunch of guys that have between 6 and 9 sacks. I think that's something that could happen, especially with the way Graham's going to mix up his defense.
Yeah, I like the way Graham plays, where a lot of times on third down, he has like all the linebackers kind of all near the line of scrimmage, and you don't know if everyone's going to blitz or maybe only 3 guys are going to rush, and they all kind of fake like they're blitzing. So I think they're going to use a lot of different guys, like even Cam Brown, who is a 6th-round pick out of Penn State. I think he could get in there. He could like get after the passer a little bit, but he's decent in coverage. He needs to bulk up a little bit, but yeah, we have a lot of guys like that can, maybe Carter Coughlin can surprise and get some sacks. I like him in the 7th round. He was good for Minnesota. I think 2 years ago he had like 9.5 sacks. But I think Lorenzo Carter, so he was like a 5-star recruit out of high school. We actually have the linebackers coach, I think, that coached him up at Georgia. So maybe that'll help him reach his potential, because I do remember watching him in college. He was number 7. He was just like flying all over the field, and he was fast. But so I think, this is the year. It's his 3rd season. So he's got to, it's like a make or break kind of season for him.
Yeah, I agree. He's super athletic. He's super fast. And again, he's got that long, athletic, lean, build. I'm really high on Lorenzo Carter. It seems like I'm always high on these Georgia Bulldogs, and I don't know how well they've worked out for us. So hopefully Andrew Thomas does not fall into that boat. It seems like every year we're taking a Georgia Bulldog at some point. We've taken obviously 2 in the last year, 2 years in the 1st round. I actually traded up for DeAndre Baker. It's we'll see. Landon says, Baddog and David, what are your NFC East standing predictions this year? We'll let you go.
Yeah, I didn't really like the Eagles draft. I thought it was interesting how I know you. I've heard you talk a lot about it on different streams and videos. But yeah, the second round pick where they took the quarterback from
Oh,
Oklahoma, I like him as a player, but I didn't like him in the second round or to the Eagles
I
there.
like him as a player. He's not good.
You don't think he's good? Oh, okay.
No, I don't. I don't think
Yeah,
he's good.
he's not a. He's not
Weary. I'm weary of two. I'm always weary of quarterbacks coming out of certain schools. And this is what I tell the Eagle fans. Tell me the last good quarterback to come out of Alabama.
Yeah.
Besides Tua. We don't know what Tua's going to be. Kenny Stabler? I mean, when is the last good quarterback out of Alabama? And then you can't count Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray. You don't know if they're going to be. But when's the last good one to come out of Oklahoma? Big 12 quarterbacks always worry me because they play against the worst defenses in the Power 5. And the same thing with receivers. I always worry about receivers, which is why I didn't like Jalen Reagor out of TCU, just like I didn't like Josh Doxson years ago. And Denzel Mims. Jets fans are talking about how good he's going to be. And I'm like, listen, man, he played for Baylor. He does not go against good corners. Yeah. So I always worry about those guys unless you're a CD Lamb or your skill set's just unbelievable. He's going to, be good against anybody. But
yeah, I was mad when Dallas ended up taking him. I think he's like the most talented receiver in this draft.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, though. What were your predictions for the NFC East?
Oh, yeah. So I think Dallas will end up winning it. They just have so much talent on offense and even defense. They have, those linebackers. They have Lawrence on the defensive line. They picked up this other pass rusher that was on San Francisco a few years ago, Aldon Smith.
Yeah.
It was kind of like an under-the-radar nice.
He hasn't played 5 years, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they could put him in on like third downs or something, he might be able to help. But yeah, you can't bank on him. But I just think they're the most talented team. So yeah, I'd probably put the Cowboys for first place, Eagles second, Giants third, and Redskins fourth. I think the Redskins are going to end up being really bad. I'm gonna say they're gonna go like 3-13 this year. They do have some nice talent on defense. I just don't like Haskins, and I don't think he has that many weapons outside of McLaurin. So I'm predicting the Giants go 8-8. I think the Eagles go like 9-7, and then the Cowboys go 10-6 because we all have tough schedules. So it's going to come down to those like NFC East games, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would reverse it. I actually have the Eagles winning the division for the simple fact. And Philly 500, when he was on my channel, made a really good point about something that I didn't think about. You look at all the teams in this division, and they're the only one with the same coaching staff. Everybody else is a new head coach. And with everything that's going on with these guys not being able to work with their players the way that they normally could, they're going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage, I think, at the beginning of the year. And I did like what the Eagles did on day 3. I like Kavon Wallace a lot. I like John Hightower.
Yeah.
But, I don't think anybody in this division wins 10 games. I think the Eagles win at 9-7. I think Dallas is 8-8. I don't like Dallas's defense at all. I know they got Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, but they lost a lot, and they never improved their secondary. They went with CeeDee Lamb over Xavier McKinney when they needed a safety really bad. I'm not high on Mike McCarthy. I don't think he's a very good head coach. I think Aaron Rodgers is the reason they won, not Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott is not Aaron Rodgers. But when you have CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, that's pretty good, and Zeke Elliott, and that offensive line's still good. They also lost Travis Frederick, which is a big loss.
Yeah, that's a big loss. They lost Aaron Jones too.
So
they didn't really get a good replacement for him.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think they battle for it, but again, I think if the Giants go 4-2 in this division, we got a chance. I really do. I don't think anybody runs away with this division this year.
Yeah, as long as we're competitive, like I'd be happy this year if we can go 7-9, 8-8, and split our games with the Eagles and Cowboys. That would be a great step up for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you make some good points about Dallas. I might have to switch my pick around.
Yeah, I just again I don't really know. I don't want either one of them to win the division. I'd rather the Redskins win than those. I hate those two teams. Yeah. They passion. I can't stand.
You hate one team more than the other.
What's that?
Do you hate like the Eagles more or the Cowboys more? Or
it really depends on the day and the fan base. Right now, I do dislike the Eagles more. But you could ask me next week, and I can tell you I hate the Cowboys more. Like I hate I hate the Eagles. I've hated them since the Buddy Ryan days. My hate for them runs deep. That's why I love Bavaro when he said he used to dream about murdering Buddy Ryan. I'm like, that's my man right there. That's my man. And he's getting no play for Philly.
Yeah, I don't like either of them either, but for whatever reason I've always hated the Cowboys, especially like the teams with Terrell Owens and when Jerry Jones is eating his popcorn in the press box. I just get mad thinking about it.
Yeah, Jerry Jones is I don't know. It'll be interesting for sure. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, guys, ask your questions. I see Judah Tribe still trolling the chat. What's going on, Hot Take Hockey? Thank you for joining the stream once again, guys. We are talking with David Solo from GMENHQ. Started a YouTube channel about a month ago, so I have it on the channel tonight. The link to his channel is in the description down below, so please click on that. He goes by Giants Alliance on YouTube. Click on it, sub him up, ring the bell, and of course, thank you guys for being here. Really do appreciate it. Yes, Gangrene David, I do have to get my boy DWG in his house. I will get him. I got to text him and get him on one of my live streams, since that's the guy that helped me out. I was talking to you about the green screen and everything, my logo. DWG is the guy that did all that for me, and he's hitting the live streams. So he usually would come over and visit. Obviously that can't happen now. So he'd come over for some Giants games or whatever. And we went to a Giants and Jets game, and he's a big dude. He's 6'7", so he always commands attention. Yeah, he's a big guy. And he does a great Scarface impression. People love the Scarface impression. So I got to get him on here. The chat misses him. We got to get him on here. But thank you for subbing him up. Thank you for subbing up Giants Alliance. David, I do appreciate it, my man. Simon, thank you for super chat. Brilly. I hated Terrell Owens, but Deshaun Jackson more. Deshaun Jackson probably the receiver I hate more than any receiver in the history of football.
Really? Because of the play, the miracle at the Meadowlands too?
Before that, I hate that. Yeah.
For some reason, I hate Owens more. I don't know. Maybe it was like his personality, but I remember that Cowboys team. They had a really good team, with Owens and Romo, and they had the good defense with DeMarcus Ware, and they really should have beat us that year. They were 13-3. I think they had like something like 12 Pro Bowlers that season.
Yeah.
And they were stacked. That was such a good team. And when we beat them, I remember that Amani Toomer played down the left sideline. That was like, the catalyst in the playoffs. So those Cowboys teams I couldn't stand. And I remember like Brandon Jacobs used to like hate those teams. And I just miss those days when we could actually beat the Cowboys. We could actually beat the Eagles. I hope that can happen again soon.
That'd be great. I remember Brandon Jacobs in that game scoring the go-ahead touchdown and firing the ball off the play clock. And if you go back,
the light bulbs, I think.
If you go back and watch that, you can actually hear the official come up to him and go, "Don't do that again." You can actually hear him say that. And I picked it up, like I watched it because you have the league pass on NFL.com for free. And I went back and I'd say that's not on there. That's too far back. But you can like watch it on YouTube. They have it, when I watch it. But yeah, you can hear the official go up there and go, "Don't do that again."
That's so funny. That might be a penalty now.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh yeah. No doubt about it. But Toomer, got us off to the good start. And then of course, the drive right before the half, with the touchdown from
the 2-minute drill. That was awesome.
And we went down and took the lead, or got right back in the game, whatever it was. I think we took the lead 14-10 at that point. That was amazing. Just showed you the clutch gene Eli had. He really started to take off there. Yeah. Josh Satori, thank you for the super chat. Brilly, my good man. Really appreciate that. He says, "Do you think fans will be allowed to attend games at all this season if you had to guess?" Optimistically, yes, because I want to go to the Cleveland game. So optimistically, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them possibly having it where they don't fill it up to a maximum capacity, so they could like make it seem like they're doing social distancing, and they can kind of like a Chargers game where there's a lot of empty seats and guys are spread apart. But I mean, selfishly, I liked watching the games better on TV than going to the games. I've been to like a few football games, but it's hard to see. Like you can't see the quarterback too well. I guess you have to have really good seats to be able to see everything. And sometimes being in like the upper deck helps because you can see like all the receivers. But I like watching on TV a little bit better. And for baseball, it's like the total opposite. I like going to the games.
Oh God,
But
dude.
football, I like watching it on TV a little better.
The other thing about going to the MetLife Stadium is if you want a beer, it's $13. So you're paying more than $1 an ounce. The problem is, I don't think the social distancing in the stadium is the problem. But how do you tell people they can't tailgate before the game?
Yeah,
Like,
it's hard. You can't believe that.
It would be difficult. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It would it'd definitely be interesting to see what they do. But I'm going to say optimistically we do. But there's a good possibility that they don't. You know, and I certainly don't mind watching a football game on TV in the warmth of my own house, no line for the bathroom. And again, I can get a 12 pack for the price of, not that I'm going to drink 12, but I can get 12 for the price I can get one at MetLife Stadium. So it has its ups and downs. You know, I've always had good seats when I went to MetLife. Not that I go there very often anymore, but so, you know, I do remember.
Yeah, I know.
I was just going to say, no, go ahead. I'll finish that story in a second.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I read today in Germany they're playing like soccer games and they don't have any fans in the stands. They have like cardboard cutouts of the fans.
So they do
you can like buy one of your cardboard cutouts. Yeah, and supposedly like one of the coaches for the German soccer teams left his hotel to go buy toothpaste, and now he's not allowed back in with the team for like 2 weeks. So yeah, it's like, you know, there's a lot of complications when it comes to this stuff. And if I had to guess, I don't think they're going to be like stadiums with maximum capacity, but I could be wrong. Hopefully things improve.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we have football. But what I was going to say is 1986, I tell this story a lot. My favorite game I've ever been to was actually at the old RFK Stadium. Back in 1986, the Giants and Redskins were 11-2. Me, my grandfather, my father drove down there, and we did have really crappy seats. I mean, we're talking upper deck, but Lawrence Taylor had a huge game. He had 3 sacks in the first half, and Jay Schrader threw 6 interceptions. Giants won 24-14. That's something that always sticks out of my head. Pretty much clinched the division at that point. We went to 12-2. It's amazing how much we've always owned the Redskins. That 86 Redskins team was really good. They lost 5 games the entire season, including the playoffs. 3 of them were to us. We swept.
Oh, wow, yeah. We've had that number. Like even these teams that haven't been very good the last few years, we've always had their number.
It's crazy. No matter how good or bad we are, how good or bad they are, we own them. Just like the Eagles. It's the same thing. Like we can't beat the Eagles, they can't beat us. It's very strange.
Yeah. Yeah, I posted on Twitter a video of Andrew Thomas was going up against Chase Young in high school. And I was just like, oh, is this foreshadowing what's going to happen in the NFL? And I know they were both in high school. It was like an all-star game, like after their season. And Andrew Thomas just dominated Chase Young. So I was like making a joke about it. And a bunch of Redskins fans got really sensitive and they were like giving me grief because I posted a high school clip. But yeah, I think, that's the one team I'm not worried about. I think, we have their number, it seems like.
Yeah, we do. Dire Giants fan. He says, I don't know why I can't super chat, but I appreciate you, Grind Baddog. I appreciate that. He says, sub up Giants Alliance here. You can't click on that link, obviously, but he put it in the chat. He says, I can't wait until we're on top of the division. Me neither.
Yeah, I can't wait.
That'll be great. I always tell Chris, the Giants community on YouTube is extremely strong. Now, Chris and I were fortunate to have such a really big following in our Giants shows. And this is when we're really bad. And we always say, imagine how good this is going to be when we're good. It's amazing the amount of support the Giants fans that we get on YouTube when we're such a bad team. I can't wait till we are the team winning 12, 13 games, till we are, going to the NFC Championship game, into the Super Bowl. I can only imagine how awesome it'll be. And it's coming, guys. It's coming. Give it a couple of years. We're gonna be those guys. Winning this division. Notorious Dink, thank you for the super chat. Brilly. That's what he says. Shep gets 1,000 receiving yards this year. What do you think?
I'm gonna say no. He seems like he'll be in the 800 to 900 range, and he's another player that's had a lot of injury issues. So if he stays healthy, I think he's capable. Because like I said, I think Daniel Jones is going to have a big year, but he doesn't seem to be like more a deep threat. He's a very good run blocker, and I think that's part of the reason we did give him the long-term contract is, he's a good fit in the kind of offense we want to have. But I think he's best in the slot, and he might not get as many opportunities in the slot since we do have Golden Tate. So I'm going to say no to 1,000 yards, but I think if he stays healthy, he can have a really good season.
See, I went with a hot take, and I said if Sterling Shepard stays healthy, I think that he leads the Giants in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. I think he's that good. I think that you're going to see this kid that I saw at Oklahoma who was awesome there. He's a great route runner. Yeah. I think he's been besieged by bad coach. Obviously, the concussions hurt him. But bad coach, I don't think they've ever used him correctly. His skill set's too good. I mean, he's always been a really good receiver. I loved him. And again, maybe that's my Sooner bias. I don't know. But I love Shep, and I think that Shep could have, because obviously Slayton is a threat now. So you got, and if Evan Ingram's healthy, I just think it gives Shepard a lot more opportunities because I think that teams will kind of lay off of him, and I think he's going to have an opportunity to have a big season. So we'll see. Delia says, Baddog, my dad owned the rights to the pretzel concessions at RFK from 1990 up until they left. I basically lived at that place. That was the only time I'd ever been there. Delia was, or Delia. I am trying to say that wrong. Delia, 920. I might just say 926. But yeah, the only time I ever went to RFK was that game. The old RFK was a dump, just like the old Meadowlands. I miss those stadiums. I miss the dumpy stadiums, the old Yankee Stadium. I miss those. I don't like.
The old Yankee Stadium was just different. It was louder. I feel like you would feel like the vibrations. Yeah, like the plastic seats. Like I remember going to games against Boston where it was you just feel the energy. And with the new stadiums, you have the padded seats, and everyone's more comfortable. I don't know. It doesn't have the same energy, but I still love going to games.
And they're not as close to the field. Not to mention they removed about 12,000 seats. And most of these guys that are there, a lot of new stadiums, it's a tourist attraction. You see all these business people are on their phones. They leave after the third. There's no fans. They price the regular fans out. So you don't have
fancy restaurants like inside the stadium. I'm like, why would you go to a restaurant when the game's on? But there's people inside. There's so many things to do besides watch the game.
Yep. That old Yankee Stadium, that was one of the loudest places ever. I mean, I love it. That's a special place. There's no doubt about it. Kane Zong says we have too many players that are good in the slot.
Yeah, I kind of agree that I thought Golden Tate was an interesting fit because I think Shepard is definitely best in the slot. Like I think he's good enough to play on the outside as well, but it seems like Shepard and Tate are very similar in their skill sets. So it does help to have Slayton though, because he's more of a burner. He has the 4.4 speed, and he did play really well. He had good chemistry with Daniel Jones, but I kind of agree that we do have too many guys that are best in the slot. Do you agree with that too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a lot of depth at the slot, but there's certainly a need for a pure number one outside receiver. And that's why we talked about Jamar Chase. I mean, he would be your guy, if we drafted him next year. I also believe Keenan Allen is a free agent, and I always felt like Keenan Allen was one of the most underrated receivers in the league because he plays in San Diego. For some reason, that's just not a big – well, they play in Los Angeles now. It's just not a big marketing area, that whole San Diego. I mean, I look at Tony Gwynn. He's one of the greatest hitters of all time, and nobody knows who Tony Gwynn is because he played out in San Diego, but he was, unbelievable. So, I don't know. I think that we need that number one receiver because we do have so many slot guys, which is crazy. So, again, there's nothing wrong with depth there, but I do think Shepard and Tate can both play outside if need be, but obviously their strength would be in the slot.
I think Slayton has the ability to eventually be like a number one receiver, but sorry to cut you off.
No, that's all right. I hope that he does. I mean, I don't know if he'll ever be a pure number one, but if you could get a solid number two out of him in a 5th round draft pick, you take it.
That was a great pick.
That was. Danny Thomas, thank you for the super chat, my man. Brilly. Shout out from Stockton, California. I missed the Meadowlands and Shea Stadium. Yeah, well, I'm a Yankee fan, but I have gone to Shea a number of times, and I have not been to City Field, so I could not tell you what that's like. But yeah, Shea was the same thing.
Yeah.
Old, dumpy, crappy stadium, but those have all the character, man. Just like
Yeah.
I hate.
I like Shea Stadium. It's so much easier to park at a Mets game than Yankee Stadium. If you guys ever go to a Yankee game, I know like a secret to for the parking, because my dad and I, we used to go to so many games. If you park by the Polo Grounds in Manhattan and then walk across the bridge, you don't have to deal with the traffic, and then you don't have to deal with paying like 40 or 50 bucks for parking or whatever it is anymore. But yeah, man, I miss those old stadiums. I hate when they just like knock it down and build a new one like right on top of it. So
I always take the train in. So
the train's the best.
Well, unless I want my buddies, then we would park. But a lot of times I would just take the train. I drive to Poughkeepsie, and that way I'm staying out of the city, and we would just take the train into the Bronx and watch a game that way. Or I'd go like on a Yankee Trails or something, and that way I didn't have to worry about it either. So
yeah, train is probably the easiest if you don't have to drive.
It definitely would. Calvin says where the impact of COVID-19 has had on all the NFL teams will get them and get a pass if the season doesn't live up to expectations. I'm going to say no. I don't think he does.
Yeah, I think it was either you or Entertainer on one of your streams. You were saying how like Gettleman might have been kept around to give a little more leeway to Judge. So if the Giants are really bad this year, they can just put the blame on Gettleman, and then Judge gets a second chance. So I don't think, because Gettleman supposedly he came kind of close to getting the axe this offseason. So I think he had to kind of fight for his job a little bit with the Maras. And he went through some health issues as well, so he kind of got more leeway, I think, because of that. But yeah, I think if they have like a really bad season, I don't think Gettleman's going to stick around.
Yeah, I don't either. I think if they win less than they did last year, he's gone. I think he's got to win at least 6 games. I mean, I don't want him to get fired. I want the Giants to be good, and I want some consistency here, but they're going to need to perform. Once again, guys, thank you for being here. We're talking with the Giants Alliance. The link to his YouTube channel is in the description down below. Dire Giants fans also been dropping it in the chat, so if you haven't done so, please click on that link, sub him up, ring the bell. He also writes for GMENHQ, so check him out. His name's David Solo, Solow. Check him out on GMENHQ. Tens of Steel says, he says that Last Jedi, the week 1 Monday night game against the Texans, you guys won. I thought he was talking about this. I just brought that up quick. So obviously that was for Last Jedi. So let's find something else. Eli Manning. I don't know what that is. Eli Manning.
See, Eli Manning's on Twitter now. That was pretty cool.
Yes, I saw that.
That was such a surprise. He just seems like someone that would never go on Twitter, and then I thought maybe he would like post like once every month or something, kind of like Daniel Jones. But
maybe he's calling you Eli Manning. Maybe that's because now he said, "What's up, Eli?" You think you think he looks like Eli Manning? Is that what you're saying? Maybe that's what he was saying.
Somebody, when I went to university in Binghamton, and there was a girl that would always call me Eli. Really? I don't think I look like him, but a couple of people have told me that.
I would have never put that together. Listen, I think every time somebody tells you look like somebody, you're always like, I don't look like that guy. I get that all the time. You look like I can't tell you how many people I look like. It is unbelievable how many people I look like. Dwayne Haskins definitely resembles.
Who do you look like?
Who do I look like? I've heard JD Martinez. I've heard a young Robert De Niro. I have heard Christopher Maloney. I've heard that one a lot. Christopher Maloney. Manu Ginobili. I've gotten that one. Andy Pettit. I've gotten that one.
Oh, I can see the Andy Pettit a little bit. I have an Andy Pettit picture right here.
I've gotten a young Vince Ferragamo. I've gotten that one. I'm like, what do I just like look like every Italian guy ever made? It's crazy. Yes, Gangrene David. Sam Darnold stinks. I said that 2 years ago, and now it just sticks with him because I was doing a stream when they played the Browns and Baker Mayfield came in for Tyrod Taylor. They ended up winning the game. I called that Sam Darnold was going to throw 2 interceptions. I said he's going to throw an interception here. He did. I said, you know what? He's going to throw another one here. And he did. And I said, Sam Darnold stinks. He stinks. And that's stuck ever since with the Jets nation. That I'm not.
Did you want us to draft Darnold?
No, I hated Darnold out of college. I don't like Darnold. I'm not a fan. I don't think. Don't like Darnold. When I tell a story a lot. When I was at my wife's grandmother's house, her grandparents' house, for some reason. I don't remember somebody's birthday, what it was. Well, the draft was coming on, and then she wanted to leave. Just as the draft was coming, I remember my brother-in-law going, "You're really going to do that to him as we pick second?" So I'm in the car. I'm listening to it on ESPN radio. Obviously, oh God, who the hell went first in that draft? Oh, Baker Mayfield.
Oh,
he goes first. Yeah. He goes first in the draft. Now I'm driving. I'm like, please don't take Sam Darnold. Don't take Sam Darnold. Don't take Sam Darnold. I'm like, take Barkley. Take Barkley. Get Barkley. So when they announced Barkley, I remember, celebrating in the car. I'm banging on the steering wheel like, yeah, let's fucking go, Giants.
Oh, yeah, I was so happy.
Next you're looking at me like, what the hell's wrong with that guy? But yeah, I did not want Sam Darnold. I am not a fan of I
think it worked out that we got Barkley so that we didn't take Darnold, because I think it was probably between them two. The best might have been getting Quentin Nelson. Like if we did whatever the Colts did, where they traded back, they got all those Jets. It would have been hard to justify, like you're a new GM and you trade back for like an offensive guard.
Yeah.
But Nelson, he's such a good player. He has a big impact on that team.
Oh, he really does. Huge impact, no doubt. But yeah, I was never a Darnold guy. As a matter of fact, the only quarterback I wanted in that draft was Baker Mayfield. I never thought about Lamar Jackson being good. He's way better than I thought he would be. But the rest of them, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, I didn't like them either. I did not want a quarterback in that draft at all. And I didn't want a quarterback in 2019 either, unless it was Kyler Murray. I said that too. I was like, I did not want Dwayne Haskins. I did not. Daniel Jones, I thought was all smoke. I never even heard of the guy until started talking about, hey, a week before, the Giants are going to take this kid out of Duke. And all I thought about was Dave Brown. Wore the same number, went to the same school,
I saw Daniel Jones play against Clemson because they play each other in the ACC. And I just remember this really tall quarterback, and he actually played really well against Clemson. I kind of remember being scared a little bit in the beginning of the game because he was driving.
They played you guys for a little, like the first half, but they couldn't score.
Yeah, but I just remember him being able to get down the field, and I was like impressed because that Clemson team had the monster defensive line of Dexter Lawrence and Farrell and Wilkins. So I was kind of impressed by him a little bit, but I didn't think he would be the sixth pick.
No, me neither. Dire Giants fan, thank you for the super chat, my man. Brilly. He says from KBO Friday morning. Yeah, I think I mentioned that earlier in the draft, KP. Dire Giants fan, he didn't need to super chat to ask that question. But I answered that. KP's been here the whole damn time, and I said that. I was talking to David. I said, yes. I said, I'm not streaming tomorrow night. I said, but I'll stream I'm not doing KBO tomorrow. I'll be on live with Chris on Thursday night. I got to get off, so I'm not talking on, till 2 a.m. I got to get up Friday morning and do it. Yes, KP. You know the schedule, KP. Wednesday and Friday mornings. You know the schedule. You're here all the time. You know this. Danny Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Brilly, what is your favorite stadium besides your own teams? If you're talking about football stadium, the only opposing football stadium I've ever been to in my life is RFK. That's it. Baseball, I've been to a lot. I really like the one in Washington. I really like that.
No. I went to Camden Yards a bunch of times. We used to make the drive down. That was always a really nice ballpark. Yeah. I like Fenway. I think Fenway is just old. Like you feel like you're sitting on top of like everyone. It's just so congested, and it doesn't look like a baseball stadium from the outside. So I just think everything about it is kind of unique and cool.
It definitely is.
The games are always a lot of fun. But I haven't been to I went to because I'm in South Florida. I went to the Miami game when the Giants played here in 2015. And it was literally 80% Giants fans. There's like Giants fans everywhere because it's all New Yorkers down here.
Yeah. I'll be down there. Well, I'm 44, so 14 years when I retire, I'll be down there.
Yeah, it's all New Yorkers. Like,
yeah. I mean, you take your New York pension, so you're getting paid really well. You take that, you go down south. There's no taxes there. It's warmer weather. We're going. Yep.
Yeah, it's nice down here. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm save a spot for me because I'll be on my way down. And like I said, 15 to 18 years. My kid graduates high school. See you later. I'm out.
Yeah, my mom actually lives in Clemson, so she wants us to move over there. I'm thinking about it, and maybe in a couple of years, but that would be cool to go to those games. So.
Judah Tribe, thanks for the super chat. Brilly continues to troll. I don't even know what that means. These moderators with wrenches like dwarf bed. What? Dwarf bed wenches. I think he's just trying to rhyme. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
I don't get that one either.
I don't get that one either. ENA, we got time. Thank you for the super chat, my man. Brilly. Any good pass rushers coming out next year? The only one that I know of off the top of my head is Greg Rousseau. That's the only guy I know off my head.
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head either. I know there's a couple guys, but yeah, I know Clemson always had some good defensive ends. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but I think that's by far our biggest weakness. And I know you say like, oh, we might blitz a lot, and a lot of people say like Patrick Graham's going to scheme a pass rush, but I think that's kind of what people said about James Betcher. Is like, oh, we're going to start blitzing a lot more. We're going to have a more aggressive defense. But if you don't have the personnel to do it, or the secondary can't hold up, then you can't do it as much as you want. So I'm a little bit worried about our pass rush. I think that's by far our biggest weakness.
I agree. I think that's a lot of Giants fans' worries because, again, it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. If you can't get to the quarterback and they have all day to throw, like Romo used to,
that was
you're gonna get killed. You're going to get killed. Danny Thomas, thank you for the super chat, my man. I appreciate it, brother. Brilly, my man. My favorites are AT&T Stadium, which is a bucket list item for me, and Levi Stadium. I was at the game when the Giants played the Niners, the NFC Championship game. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, actually, I went to AT&T Stadium. I went with a friend. It was LSU against Miami, and it was like the opening game of the 2018 season, and Joe Burrow's first game. And he wasn't that great. I wasn't that impressed by him, but I did go to that game, and it was kind of cool. I thought the stadium was awesome. Like the screen was so big and so nice. Like you just wanted to stare at the screen, and we had like pretty good seats too.
Yeah.
But in Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, that's really nice.
Yeah, I got to get there. Well, I also want to go to Norman, Oklahoma for a game, and I'm like, if I'm going to do that, I should do that the same.
Do both.
Since there, but that's going to be different. Again, that's stuff I'd have to do after I retire, most likely, because with a 3-year-old, it's maybe when he gets older, I'll be able to do that. But a 3-year-old, good luck. I'm lucky.
You want to appreciate it now.
Well, yeah, no, I'm sorry. It would just be me. Well, no, actually, when he gets older, it'll probably be him. He's very much like me. Right now, it depends on the day with him. Sometimes he wants to watch the Yankees. Yeah, Daddy, the Yankees. Sometimes Daddy, I don't want the Yankees because I watch old games, And I'm trying to tell him, that's Donnie Baseball, I don't want Donnie Baseball. Okay.
Is he old enough to like throw the ball around with yet? Or I can't wait to do that with my son.
It's weird. So the other day, like he doesn't really throw. He's right-handed. I mean, he writes right-handed. He does everything right. He doesn't really throw right-handed. He'll take the thing and throw it like sidearm or underhand. I don't know why. And then the other day, we're at my mother-in-law's house, and he's picking up rocks in the backyard with his left hand and chucking them with his left hand. Like he does a throwing motion. He throws hard as hell left hand. I'm like, what?
It's so funny you say that because my son does the same thing where he only throws it to the side because he throws food for my dog. Like he wants to feed my dog his food, so he just throws it like this, but he can't throw anything like forwards.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really strange. He throws very awkwardly right-handed, like I would left-handed, but then he picks stuff up and he chucks it with his left hand. It's weird. It's really, really strange. I don't know what it is. I'm like, good, maybe he'll be a pitcher. We could always use a crafty lefty. You don't need to throw hard left-handed.
He has an advantage if he's a lefty in baseball. Yeah.
Exactly. New York for Life 12, man. Thank you so much for the super chat, brother. I appreciate it. Brilly, my good man. He says, no question. I just want to support. I really, really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated, my good man. So we'll go over like another 10 minutes or so, guys, and then we'll wrap it up. So if you got any questions, ask them up. 10 Minutes of Steel says, Baddog, your favorite Giants game that you ever been to? That 86 game at RFK. That was a big game. And again, that atmosphere. The Redskins are really good. The Giants are really good in the 80s. They were the teams in the NFC East, and they're both 11-2, and just a great atmosphere down there at the old RFK from what I remember. I mean, I was young, so it's not all in my head. But that was a really good game. I really, really enjoyed that one. Stupid Videos says, what position should we take if there's no good edge rushers on the board where we pick?
I like the receivers in next year's draft. Like I'm a big Clemson fan, so Justin Ross, I think he was better than T. Higgins, who went at the very top of the second round this year. Yeah. So I would love if we can get Justin Ross. I don't know if he's like the big receiver that we need, but I think he's fast enough. And there's a lot of really good receivers. Like if we end up picking in the top 10, I hope we don't, but Jamar Chase would just be perfect for us. I think he would fit right in and be like our number one receiver. And you have Slayton as the number 2. And Shepard could be the guy in the slot for the future. I think that would be amazing, but I just don't know. I don't know if we're going to pick that high in the draft.
Yeah, I don't either. I think Stupid Videos, it would depend on where we do draft. I don't know if the Giants would go center in the first round, but I agree. I think I agree with David that I think that wide receiver, we need a number 1 wide receiver. And if Jamar Chase is there, because we're picking a little bit early, definitely be a perfect guy for us. There's no doubt about that. Delia says, do you think Dak could end up on the Saints, Colts, or Bears? Well, he's not going to the Bears. They just traded for Nick Foles, but the Bears do stupid things. The Colts, that's a possibility. I don't know what they're going to do after that. Phillip Rivers is not going to be there very long. So I know they did draft. I think they did draft a quarterback, and I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Jake Fromm. I forgot where Fromm went. The Colts did take a quarterback, didn't they? In this draft.
Yeah, I think they ended up taking one a little bit later. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's interesting how the Cowboys picked up Dalton, and I thought that was like a smart move for a couple of reasons, because he's good enough with the talent around him to win on that team. And then if for whatever reason, like Dak held out, or I just feel like it gives the Cowboys more leverage to have a capable backup like Dalton. And I'm surprised that he hasn't signed a contract, considering you don't know what's going to happen with the salary cap situation. Like if there's no fans, maybe they lose some revenue and the salary cap goes down in a couple of years. You would think Dak Prescott would want to just like sign that big contract he's being offered.
Yeah, you would definitely think so. So the chat's saying it was Jacob Eason. That's who they took. I couldn't remember the other quarterback.
Yeah, a lot of people liked him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Colts had they had a very nice draft. There's no doubt about that. Once again, guys, if you haven't done so, please do me a favor. Go into the description. Link to Giants Alliance channel is there. Sub them up, ring the bell. And thank you guys all for being here. Do appreciate it. He also writes for GMENHQ. His name is David Solo, SOLOW. So check out his his articles on GMENHQ. He wrote a really good one on Daniel Jones. If you want to check that out about his fantasy prowess. And again, I learned a lot of stuff about his top end speed. Nate Solder giving up the most pressures of any left tackle in football, and Daniel Jones being the most accurate quarterback, throwing the ball 20 yards in the air or more, which tells you how accurate he is downfield. So really a lot of good stuff in that article. So I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
I like interacting with fans on Twitter too. So if my Twitter is Giants Alliance as well. So if you give me a follow there, I post a lot of like videos of players. Like at least once a day, I try to upload some like interesting videos and stuff for the followers.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Dire Giants fan, thank you for putting the link in the chat there. So that makes it even easier. Now you guys have no excuse. It's right there. Josh and Tori says, any undrafted free agents you guys got making the team? See, I like so many of them, but obviously,
it could end up being where none of them make the team, but I can actually see multiple this season making the team. Like, who would you say has like the best chance out of all of them?
I think just because of the lack of depth at the running back spot, I don't think Wayne Gallman's the answer. Deion Lewis is there 1 year. I think that Javon Leake's got the best chance, in my opinion, to make it. I would love Derek Dillon like you do because he runs a 4.2840. Benjamin Victor has 6'4". Rice and John is 7.
Rice has like a crazy long wingspan as well. Yeah. So if you in the red zone, that could be like a crazy good weapon. But I like a lot of the undrafted free agents. I think both the receivers from Ohio State have a decent chance. I think they're both good. And maybe in like a typical draft, they would be, late round picks. But there were so many good receivers in this draft. It was a very deep receiver class. So they ended up falling.
Yeah. I mean, Donovan Peoples-Jones fell a long way too. So a lot of guys did end up falling.
Tampa Bay got Tyler Johnson, I think, in either like the 5th or the 6th round. I thought that was a really good pick for them.
Yeah,
and they didn't need a receiver, but Tom Brady has a lot of weapons down there.
Stu Video says, "Would you be mad if we signed Chris Godwin to a $16 million a year deal because we picked up Gregory Rousseau? I'd rather get Keenan Allen, to be honest with you, but I don't know. I mean, he's more of a I don't know."
Yeah, I like Godwin a lot. I think it's in some games he was better than Evans. I think he has a lot of potential. I would like for the Giants to get someone like that. We need like a big, fast receiver. He would be our number one guy. I like that, but I don't know. It seems like they're going away from giving big money to receivers. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're building the team like that, but you never know.
Well, the Patriots, I mean, they never had really, outside of Randy Moss, they never really had a true number one. And they won without it. So that obviously can be done. They really never had a true number one running back either. Maybe Lawrence Maroney or Corey Dillon in their day. But other than that, not like a Barkley. That's for sure. We just call this guy Alphabet. And chances for McKinney to get Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think they're good.
Yeah, I think that it's pretty good odds to bet on because he's going to do a little bit of everything. Like he's actually pretty good at rushing the passer as well. Alabama used him on the blitzes a lot, so he can get some sacks, he gets some interceptions, good in coverage, so he can put up some numbers.
I agree. Benjamin Wynn says the Bucs receiving core is really good. I can't wait for the Saints Bucs matchups. Oh yeah, Breeze and Brady. I've been wanting that Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
And now we're gonna get Breeze Brady twice a year. I also want to give a shout out to Benjamin Wynn for spelling core right. Because I can't tell you how many people say the Bucs receiving core, CORE.
Oh, yeah.
Incorrect. Yeah. It is core, like the Marine Corps. That is what your core receiver. So shout out to he's a smart kid. He's got a 3.96 GPA in college, so he knows what he's.
Oh, he does?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very smart young man. And one a great subscriber of mine. My man from the Lakers streams. So big shout to him. Tendons of Steel says he just subbed up Giants Alliance. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Tendons of Steel. Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, I'm just figuring out how to do everything on there. So I'm gonna start uploading a lot. It's a lot of fun to me. I just love talking Giants. So yeah, I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. AJ Marshall says Chase Young's my pick to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's a great pick. he's got the best chance. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Were you upset when we lost the chance by beating the Redskins at the end of last season?
No.
You're okay with that?
Say I was like indifferent. I don't root for us to lose. I can't. But if we would have lost, it wasn't going to hurt my feelings because we finished 4-12. If we finished 3-13, what's the difference? So it wouldn't have hurt my feelings. But at the same time, I was very happy that Daniel Jones had such a huge game.
He played so good and
got some confidence. At least that's what I was hoping for. Let me see what I gotta look and see. I'm pretty sure I know what that super sticker is, but I can't see it on here. I gotta go to YouTube.
I see it. Do you know what I'm saying?
There it is.
Giants fan.
Really, my good man. Tell our super sticker. Wee! So much easier. Thank you so much, my man. I really do appreciate that. Got a little lightheaded on that one. Last Jedi says, I'll admit I'm concerned with our secondary going against Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronk, OJ Howard, and Tom Brady twice. It's gonna be great matchups between the Bucks.
Those are gonna be such fun games. The
Shootout.
Saints are probably my favorite team to watch. Like when they play in the dome, and they always have exciting games, like high scoring games. I remember the game last year against San Francisco. I don't even remember who ended up winning that game, but I just remember it came down to the wire. I think San Fran came back and won.
Yeah.
But I actually asked Dave Tollefson on Twitter. I said, if in 2011, if you guys went to New Orleans, do you think you would have won that game? Because if you remember, San Francisco beat them, and he was like, "No way," because they crushed us that season.
They did.
So, yeah, he admitted that he didn't want to play the Saints, and I think we would have lost.
I think we would have lost too. I was so happy when the Niners beat them because we had a better chance to go into. I don't think it was Candlestick at that point, but whenever they were calling their stadium back then, I definitely thought we had a better chance to beat Alex Smith and company outdoors, even though it was a really tough defense as opposed to in the dome. So I was glad we didn't play them either. But guys, it is 12:30, so normally, like I said, I would go to 1 o'clock, but I was up at 4:50 this morning. I wanted to take a nap. I never did. I ran twice today. I worked out today. I'm tired.
Oh, wow.
Need some sleep. But I want to say, David, this is awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on the channel, and hopefully we can do this again sometime. Again,
that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Solo from GMENHQ, David SOLOW. The link to his channel, Giants Alliance, is in the description. So I hope you guys will sub him up, ring the bell, and show him some love. And again, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you for reaching out to me. This was awesome, man. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad I got to talk to you, and that's awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on the channel. Like I said, hopefully we can do it again sometime. We do plan, as far as that panel of Giants fans go, I know we do plan on mixing that around. So maybe we can get you in there sometime, that'd
be awesome.
So
yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. I've been watching your streams for a long time. Like I tell people like you and the Entertainer, that's where I get my Giants news from now. I don't go to the Giants website. I think you're more entertaining and you give like a better perspective. So I really appreciate you, man, having me on. This has been awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate the comment. I know Chris does too. And yeah, I mean, like I said, the Giants fan base is really strong on here. And once we're good, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. And I think in a couple of years, we are going to be at that spot. So again, guys and girls, I thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of your evening or wherever you may be. Stay safe, stay sane. And I will see you guys Friday mornings for some KBO action. I'll probably have a video up tomorrow about something. I'll find something to talk about. So for Giants Alliance, it's a bad day to dizzle. We are gone. Peace.
Yes.